Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
A very good evening and welcome to Evolution Sim Racing GT4 Championship round 2 of our first season in the GT4 Championships. Tonight we are at Road Atlanta and I'm James Bostock, stand-in commentator for Joseph Glass, who is still away on his holidays, working, and he will be back from next week. And tonight in the commentary booth, doing most of the heavy lifting, I'm joined by Dara Thacker. So, are you there, Dara? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello. Yeah, cannot wait for this one. This is looking like it's a really good round after Suzuka as well. That was a great way to start the season. And yeah, I can't wait to do all the heavy lifting for you, James.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And have you recovered after last week, after that 52 car absolute onslaught for round 1 at Suzuka?
I don't know if I have. I don't know if I've mentally prepared myself for this, if I'm honest. But you know, we'll roll with it as it comes. But it should be really quite good because of how tight this track is. I think it's going to be quite exciting on the opening couple of laps at least.
Well, there's been a bit of talk in the Discord about that opening lap, and we'll come to the track in a moment. So, but before we do, I suppose we should get on with a few formalities. As usual, anybody in the chat, I can see that we've got a few guys joining us in the stream already. Very good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. If any of the audio needs adjusting, please feel free to let us know in the chat, and we will do our best to adjust it on the fly, so to speak. But before we start, so just getting into the night's proceedings, we're at round 2 of the championship at Road Atlanta on the full course. Not a track that I've drove myself, so I'm commentating blind somewhat tonight, but we will do our best. Next week we go to the Hungaroring for round 3 of the championship. Next week will be one 15-minute race and the 45-minute race, followed by round 4 at Magny Cours. Round 5 is going to be at Laguna Seca on the GP circuit. Then we're going to have 3 20-minute sprint races at Hockenheim GP for round 6. Portimao, that's going to be an interesting one on the calendar in round 7 for 2 of the 30-minute races, followed by 3 20-minute sprint races at the Red Bull Ring on the GP circuit. Round 9, the penultimate round, will be at Sebring International. Really looking forward to that one. That's for a 15-minute and a 45-minute. And then concluding the season at Zolder in round 10 on the GP layout for the final round of the championship. So tell us, Dara, tell us a little bit about Road Atlanta. I mean, it's a circuit that I've not driven myself. I've heard a lot about it, tight and twisty. What do you know about Road Atlanta, and what are you expecting from the drivers tonight?
Wait, popular track in America, definitely, that's for sure. It's one of those tracks where it's not the longest of circuits, but it does pack a little bit of a punch. You're looking at this track map, you can see the S's. They really are the S's. They are tight, they're twisty. You're not going to really be able to go too wide through there unless you're incredibly brave and very effective in making any kind of move. Turn 6 is maybe an overtaking opportunity, even though it is a little bit fast or medium speed compared to the likes of Turn 10, which you can see is A and B. I do not know why that's not 2 separate corners, but hey ho, it's the Turn 10 chicane. We're going to see a lot of overtaking down there today, and with it being right at the end of the lap, we could see races being decided there, which could be really quite exciting before you roll all the way back down the hill onto the start-finish straight, which isn't the longest in the world, but hey, you're going to have to make up for some of the straights at this circuit because there aren't too many long straights, and you're going to have to use them effectively, really.
And in these GT4 cars, I mean, we're not talking about the same speed as GT3, but certainly faster than TCR. So probably we're going to see a bit of a middle ground for the racing. Little bit of info, looking at the timing screen currently, we have 44 drivers tonight. So that may just ease the pack a little bit as they go through the tight and twisty sections on the first lap. One thing that I am interested to see is that tonight will be our first round of the 3 20-minute races. So just to explain tonight's race format and just a quick recap on the rules, we've got 3 20-minute races. So the guys are currently just finishing off their practice session at the moment, and we'll join them as they finish that and head into quali. The quali will be 12 minutes or 3 lone laps. So the reason that the league goes for the lone lap quali is to reduce the number of potential incidents that could happen during a quali phase where people get blocked, and there's always that thing about getting a tow as well at some circuits, which is something that we avoid by going for the lone quali. So not quite as interesting on stream when you've got the lone quali, but we'll do our best to navigate through the drivers. So then we'll be into race 1, which is a 20-minute race where the grid order is set by quali. And then straight after that, we're into race 2. This is the consolation race that is embedded within iRacing that we use for our round 2, our race 2 if you like. And that will be a reverse 10. So top 10 will be reversed. So the winner will start in 10th, and the 10th place position will take pole position for race 2. So in race 1, we'll be on the lookout for who's going to make it into the P10 position. We move straight from race 1 into race 2, so that's going to be a quick one for us between the two. Between race 2 and race 3, we will have a 5-minute break or a warm-up for the drivers, so we'll be able to touch base with a few things that we've maybe missed throughout the evening. And then as we move into race 3, that will be the final race of the evening, another 20-minute race, but we will have a reverse 15 for that. So it will be the reverse 15, the top 15 reversed from the results from race 2. And also something else quite interesting is that all 3 races will attract the same standard points. So if someone were to win all 3 races tonight, then they're looking at a total of 150 points on offer. So these 3 rounds actually, and the 15-minute and the 45-minute rounds, offer more than the standard two 30-minute rounds. Quick recap on the rules. So damage is on, of course. 17x drive-through, 22x race qualification, same as in officials. One fast repair is allowed per race. There will be no pit stops this evening, and we do have standing starts. So again, that's going to be quite interesting with 44 cars on the grid, and some of the guys last week, most were okay. Some of the guys struggled a little bit to get the car off the line. So we'll see how that fares. As we move into the standings, so we've got some shortened standings for this evening. I'll let you talk through the elite standings, Dara, after the results that we had last week from the 2 races at Suzuka.
Yeah, and it was quite a good opening for William Humphrey, wasn't it? 2 wins from 2, 100 points on the board, and he has got quite a big lead ahead of Thomas Saborin, who I believe got 2 fifth places, and that means he's got second, because some other drivers didn't quite have the consistency. Traz Draycott didn't believe me when I told him I thought he was P3, and I was right. He was P3 after round 164, but it is quite tight in that battle for top 5, isn't it? Justin Ray, Ryan Otton's 4th and 5th. Jimmy Vyman is in 6th, alongside Ben Jalgraft, who both have 57. Tristan de Nobrega and Jan Stitchbury both have 47, and Jay Cooley has 45, but it is quite tight after the opening round. There's so many names in there who could do well tonight.
There certainly is, and as we move on to the next class, we've then got the Premier standings, so I'll go through them. We've got Jean-Francois Chiquet, who took both wins for the Premier class last week at Suzuka. We've got Stephen Donnelly, who's not yet sent us in his car image, so just a quick tip of the nod there to Stephen, with 75 points. And then we've got Rob Smith making a flying start in P3 in the Premier class. Rob had a great season last season in TCRs, had some real pace, and that's definitely transferred to the Premier class, with Josh Ostick, I think the highest rated I-rated driver in the Premier class, not having the greatest of weeks last week. I think we spoke to Josh at the end of the interviews last week, so he'll be looking for a bit of an improvement. And then in 5th place we've got Rob Pickle in Dara's favourite liveried car on 51 points, so top 5 for Rob Pickle. Rob was originally in the Evo class and got promoted after pre-season, and I think Rob's results last week kind of proving the admin team absolutely correct that he deserves to be in the Premier class. We've got Robin Aston in P6, Mike Murphy P7, we've got Maxine Dimitrov in P8, Jonas Larsson P9, and Martin Kenyon rounding out the top 10 with 42 points. Last but by no means least, moving on to the standings for the Evo class.
Yeah, and in the Evo class, Francois Brandet, the only championship leader out of the first round, who didn't win both races, but he did pick up first and a second, so still went pretty good for him to lead the way. Dale Williams isn't far behind either. Neither is Matthew Nolan, James Hayworth. Definitely the closest category is the Evo out of the 3 that we've got. It does gap out a little bit with John Ludbrook down in P5, but, still in the top 5. Good for him after the opening round. Danny Weir 6th. Owen Seward, Steve Ewing, and Steve Rubino inside the top 9, and Andrew Fellows not far off that top 9 either, but a little bit of a yellow and green combination at the back end of the top 10 there, James.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all these guys stack up tonight, because I think what we saw last week was the same as we've seen in other series, where you get those thresholds where the top section of one class start to branch over the bottom section of another, and there's not really a lot in it. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two classes kind of work their way through, and if there's a bit of inter-class battling. We'll see how that goes. In the Teams Championship, we don't have the Teams Championship standings at the moment, but just to give you a quick recap on the teams. So, same as we went through last week, of all the different teams. The one interesting thing about the Teams Championship is only the top 2 drivers' points for that particular round will contribute to the team's total. So where you can see that some teams have got 3 drivers and some teams have only got 2, none of the 2-man teams are at a disadvantage if they both score points that round. The only time the advantage of a 3-man team can come in is when maybe one of the team members is not racing and is away. They will still score the 2 points from the 2 top drivers. So we'll have that for next week, for when Joe Glasser's back. We'll have the Teams Championship standings and we'll be able to run through that. Just before we get into the racing action, just a quick reminder about the prizes and the trophies. So we're very fortunate to have A couple of great sponsors on board with the league. So Kamei is our sponsor of the series trophies, and they will be awarded to the top 5 drivers in each class. So we always see that bit of a battling going on towards the end of the season between P5 and P6, P7, etc. Also, not only will they be awarded to the top 5 drivers in each class, they will be also awarded to the top 5 winning teams, and that will be all drivers in that team. And finishing off with 3 other sponsors, big shout out to these, and thank you very much for supporting the series both in this season and also previous seasons that have helped Evolution Sim Racing grow to the kind of size and the number of members that we've got. So thanks to GP2 Group, to Keenan Eco Energy, who also run the MRC Endurance team, Chris Keenan, and to Russell Jakes with Medius. Thank you very much for your support. We will try and give you another kind of prompt later on, but as we know, with this many cars on the grid, 3 races to get through, we will try and remember. And before we get into the action, we do have our driver cams, which you can see on screen now. So top left, we've got a new entrant into the driver cam series tonight. So we've got Danny Weir sporting the DXT cap there. Danny's just moved across, shall we say, from VR to triples. So first time Danny's had his webcam on, he's kindly volunteered to join us. Top right, we've got Francois Brandet with the stolen guitar at the back of him, which Dara's reliably informed me that the French police are on the lookout for that particular model. So yeah, hopefully they don't see this Francois and see where it is. We've got Andrew Fellows bottom left, Mr. Sim Magic himself, and we've got Rob Mackay bottom right. So we will be joining them at some point throughout the evening when time allows to see how they're getting on. So we're in quali. Let's get on track and see where the guys and how they're doing. Let's go to, as we jump on board with Jeremy Litas. I think we do have some times that have been posted, so over to you, Dara. I'll let you work your magic while I flick between the cameras.
Yeah, well, we've got some interesting times on the board at the moment. Justin Rame leading the way. 24.85 is a good time, but it is close in behind, isn't it? Jimmy Vyman, Jeremy Litas up there. These guys all in the elite classes. You wouldn't be surprised to know. Can Jeremy improve? Yes, he can improve. He can go P2 and put himself onto a provisional front row. James Peace has gone up into P6. But look at that time from Mike Murphy, which was P5 for a moment. Ben Chalcraft came in. Mike Murphy, of course, in that Premier class, doing very well at the moment up near the front. Martin Kenyon is P2 in that class. Jonas Larson just putting in a time to put himself up there. Dale Williams doing well in the Evo class, maybe not as good as Luis Nevaeh, who just pops himself up in front. But you can see that, oh my word, that is James Peace. That's the wall for James Peace. That's not the line through there. I was going to say how close you can see some of these times. There's 1,000th between Jean-Francois Chiquet and William Humphrey, the 2 championship leaders in Elite and Premier, in 5th and 6th overall at the moment. That's incredible stuff. As Justin Rame, James, has put another 3/10 between himself and the rest of the field.
Yeah, well, Justin, as we know, Justin joined us late last week, very, very late last week. Didn't even make it onto the driver lists. 7K I-rated driver, so representing the Grid and Go esports team. So Justin will definitely be one of the drivers to beat tonight. But we saw last week that William Humphrey, and I think if I remember rightly, last week William Humphrey didn't qualify the quickest, but certainly took the battle to Justin. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares there. One of the new drivers in the series just joined us. We're on board with him at the moment, which is Charlie Stothard. Charlie's joined us this week in the Dennett Racing team, so good luck to Charlie and very warm welcome to Evolution Sim Racing, sporting that lovely little red and blue livery there, racing number 6. So great qualifying so far in P21, so all things going well for him. And I see that we've got Chaz Draycott racing with us again tonight. He's currently put in a time. He's currently in P17. He was actually your tip for last week, I think, wasn't he, Dara, for the race 2 win?
Well, he didn't quite get the win, but he got the podium, didn't he? And he comes into this P3 overall. I'm sure he's trying to defend that position in the championship, no doubt about that. But may want a little bit more time. You can just see how close some of these times are. I mean, if you are currently Jeremy Allemans, or maybe that's a slightly bad example, if you are Ben Shalcraft, a tenth of a second, even a 200th of a second puts you into P6, which is 2 positions in front. I mean, there is barely anything to split these guys. Luke Chasey, he's gone 5th. He didn't have the best of weeks last week, did he? I think he had a couple of little incidents. He's down all the way in P12 in the championship, which is not where he'd want to be. So he's looking to try and come back this evening and doing a good job of that so far. But it's also interesting just to see Chike and Murphy, the 2 Premier drivers, just sticking together in the sea of elite drivers at the moment.
It is, and I've just spotted out the corner of my eye. We've got Mr. Jay Corley, elite class driver that looks like he has set a time. He has set a time of a 1:28.3, but I didn't expect to see Jay Corley down in 40th place as he just jumps up to P18 right on cue. So yeah, he'll be a little bit relieved there, I think, to have got that lap in, because I don't think P40 would have been an ideal start point for him, that's for sure. So we've currently got Jean-Francois Chike again leading the Premier class, but Mike Murphy's a lot closer with just 300ths of a second behind him. Martin Kenyon down in 17th. We've then got who's leading in the Evo class, so it's Luis Nevia, I think, in P20, if I can see those colours correctly. Let's have a look who else we've got on track at the moment. We've got Mr. Rob Mackay that's just stopped on track. Looks like he's having a bit of... We've caught him, Dara. We've caught him having a practice start.
Sometimes you do need a practice start, don't you? I mean, it can be difficult, particularly here, where, I mean, if we're going to have everybody starting on the grid, there are going to be drivers who are starting coming down the hill because of the nature of the circuit. So it's going to be interesting. Bas Schliester, of course, they're not doing well, just getting back to the pits nicely. I think most of the drivers will have set their lap times by now, so I don't know how many drivers will be able to improve. So this is just kind of an opportunity for some of the guys to maybe just have a little bit of a practice start, just have a little bit of a calm moment before we get into the race, because it's going to be quite tense. But you can see how they're all split up there in terms of the times. The biggest gap in terms of a pole is Justin Rame, who's got 3/10 to William Humphrey. But you've only got 300ths in the Premier class, and about 2/3 of a tenth, about the blink of an eye, between the top 2 in Evo. So it is so tight. But that's what we want to see, isn't it? Because we don't want to see drivers getting too spaced out. It's great to see how close they are.
Yeah, and Dale Williams, he got a flying start, I think, in race 1, if I remember last week at Suzuka. So Dale's down in P3, so I think he might be a bit disappointed with that, because I think he got through the pack. And the other driver that surprised me a little bit is Francois Brandet, leader of the Evo class, is currently down in P10 in the Evo class. I'm not sure what that translates to in the overall class. It's P36. So yeah, I would imagine that he's a little bit maybe a bit surprised or disappointed based on his form last week. Robin Noel Brown, we didn't mention Robin Noel Brown much last week. I don't think Robin actually got a chance to race last week, so we know that Robin's got quite good pace. No, he didn't race last week. Yeah, Robin's got quite good pace in the GT4s. I've raced Robin at a few of the pre-season races, and he seems really quick. He's currently sitting in P2 in the Evo class. Other standout drivers to kind of point to note: Robin Aston, P30. I think Robin might be a bit disappointed with that. We've got 4 drivers that have not even set a time, Dara. Matt Hoyland, Baz Schilstra, Pierre Borsk, and Hussein Sarakard-Esler. So I don't know whether they've not set a time on purpose or whether they've just kind of off tracks. I don't know what this track's like for off tracks. Yeah, we'll have to see how we get on.
I think off tracks here can be they can be quite easy to pick up. It is difficult to really keep the line right. I mean, you could just see on one of those almost those stock shots of the circuit through the S's how twisty it is. And if you're offline at the first part of one of these little S bends, you're going to be finding yourself completely offline by the time you get to the third part or even the fourth part, as we see over the first part of the lap. So really tricky for some of the guys, especially if they've had a couple of little moments. We'll see it here from Ed May, actually, as he comes down the hill. You rise up the crest to this first little right-left combination, and then you can see in front of you the track just becomes winding. You dive back down the hill, back through the right-hander, then it's a little left-hander, as the timer ticks to 0, which is why we cut away there. But the right-hander, left-hander, right-hander, then into a left-hander again. It is so tricky to keep it on the racing line, especially if you've not nailed the first part.
Right, here we go. Here we go with the grid for race 1. As the guys are gridding up, I'll let you talk us through it, since you did such a fantastic job of this last week. But you've got a bit
I'll
less.
see if I can get it done in time.
You've got a bit less to go at this week, so you should be okay.
Let's go then. Should be Justin Raymond, William Humphrey for 1 and 2, Jeremy Litas and Ryan Otton's on row 2. Luke Lucchese's on the third row alongside his teammate Tristan Obriger. Jimmy Vyman and Ben Chalcraft top 8 with the Chike and Murphy the top 2 in the Premier class, top 10 in the end in qualifying. Ed May, James Peace, Jeremy Chioka and Sebastian Bonnet. And Jeremy Ullerman's in the top 15 with Thomas Saburin, Martin Kenyon, Jay Cooley, Chaz Draycott and Lewis Nevea the top 20. We roll all the way on as more names come through. Rob Smith, Robin Noel Brown, Rob Pickle, Dale Williams and Charlie Stoddard, the top 25. Ahead of Henry Cooler, Rob Mackay, Jonas Larson, James Hayworth and Robin Aston in the top 30. Rows 16 to 20 are Stephen Donnelly, Steve Rubino, Oliver Lumsden, Matthew Knoll, Andrew Fellows, Francois Brandet, John Ludbrook, Ryan Rhodes, Matt Stace and Danny Weir. And then we've only got a couple more drivers. We've got a few more, actually. We've got, there we are, Baz Schilstra, Matt Hoyland, Pierre Bizreg, Hussein Sarakadaslat and Gareth Newton. 45 drivers here at Road Atlanta. You can see that there's only 10 on the main straight. There's going to be 35 drivers who are facing the wrong way, which is quite something, if I'm honest. We'll see how far back they go. They're going to have to be struggling because you can see how far back they go. Back of the field, it's over the crest there, James.
Yes, I mean, rather them than me. That's all I could say. Rather them than me. It looks like the lights are on, so we're going to be going racing. We'll do our best to keep up with it and see how we get on.
Yeah, here we go. The 5 red lights are out, and we are racing for race 1 of the evening at Road Atlanta. Poor start and poor getaway, it seemed, there from Ryan Ottens, even though it may have been Jeremy Litas. In fact, it was Litas as they go down towards turn 1. Justin Rain with a clear run into the lead. Ryan Ottens and William Humphrey, championship leader, fighting their way through the opening corner, but they're 2x2. Big crash in the background. That's Jeremy Orlemans and Thomas Sabori going around at the opening turn, and all of the drivers having to pick their way through to try and avoid the incident. Most of them have done a very good job, but you can see the Constantina effect as we work our way into the S's. 3 wide into the right-hander, that's not going to work. They're going to have to single file their way out as they work their way down the hill, but you can just see how difficult it is, and everyone jockeying for position so early on in this race.
Wow, what a start, what a start. So Justin Raymer's got away. He's got 6/10 gap on William Humphrey at the moment, with Ryan Ottens in 3rd, Jeremy Litas 4th, Luke Lucchese in 5th, followed by his teammate Tristan Dinnebrega in 6th, and then we've got that tiny little gap to Ben Chalcraft that you can see here. We've got Mike Murphy, who looks like he's managed to get the better of Jean-Francois, so we'll just jump on board with these two guys from the Premier class. So these two seem to be a little bit in a class of their own in terms of the gap between them and the other Premier drivers. Then we've got this huddle of cars with James Peace and Chaz Draycott, and we've looked like we've got a move coming up the inside there for Jeremy Chioka. Jeremy Chioka has actually swapped teams. I've not managed to update the team name. He's not in the G League team, he's in another team which I'll remember a bit later, but he's putting the pressure right on Chaz Draycott, as we'll just jump on board with him and have a little look and see, can he get the move done up the inside? No, he can't. He's just biding his time, so Chaz will be a bit relieved that that's took a little bit of the pressure off. As we look further downfield, we've got another battle here between Rob Pickle and Dale Williams. So they're running, as we have a look through, they're running in P2. Rob Pickle's in the Premier, of course, so they're in a different class. So yeah, going to be interesting to see how this unfolds and see how much inter-class battling there's going to be.
absolutely. This is going to be quite intense, I think, throughout all of the classes. You can already see how they're split up. And you're right, Mike Murphy and Chike, they're kind of in a class of their own. But Mike Murphy comes into this race P7 in the championship after the opening round, so got a little bit of ground to make up on Jean-Francois, and he's trying his best at the moment. But Chike just following him, shadowing him in the early stages of this opening race. Of course, with the fact that we've got 3 races, it means that we are going to have those reverse grids coming into effect, which is going to be, I'm quite excited for. Reverse top 10, of course, race 2, reverse top 15 for race 3, as you mentioned earlier. But it's going to be really interesting to see which kind of, or anybody in the Premier or the Evo class can get themselves into those reverse grids, because they may be crucial for a championship challenge. Through the final corner we go, though. Dale Williams is just in front of this battle with Robin Noel Brown in behind as they go through the final corner, just about dipping a wheel into the grass on the outside as well. Tricky to keep it on the circuit, but they're going to go side by side again in towards turn 1. This is getting tight, but Robin Noel Brown looking for the move up the inside, and I think he's got it done. He has indeed.
Yeah, and he's got Rob Pickle's got Stephen Donnelly right behind him as well, and Stephen takes no prisoners, and then we've got Jay Corley. So Jay Corley's must have got caught up in some of that first lap shenanigans that was going on. So as we have a bit of a closer look there, yeah, Jay Corley running P14 in class, but overall down in P24, so he's definitely going to be looking to make some time up as he looks to try and go around the outside of Stephen Donnelly. Doesn't get that job done. Is that going to lead him up to the inside for the next corner? We shall change the camera angle and see. It doesn't look like he's got that done, so yeah, he's certainly not going to be happy about getting caught up in this mid-pack for sure.
No, and if you are Jay Corley, you're thinking that, I mean, he can gain another, 7 positions and gain no points from it. So this is not the best position for Jay to be in. He's really going to have to be using all 3 races to work his way through the field, because he's unlikely to get into the top 10 now, and he's unlikely to get, well, he may get into the top 15 at the end of race 2, but that's going to have to be his target, I think, at the moment. But getting through on Stephen Donnelly is task number 1, as we see him behind, side by side, between Bas Schlielstra and Henry Cullen. Bas, of course, didn't set a lap time in qualifying. He's up, I believe, 11 or 13, I should say, spots in the opening couple of laps, which is an incredible job from the Dutchman if he can continue this Formula 116 car. Just picked his way through, probably, in the opening lap or so. Oh, he's got a spin. That's Chike! Chike, the championship leader in the Premier class, has gone around.
He has. Yeah, I think he had an incident last week as well, didn't he? When he had a 20-second lead
Yes, indeed, yeah.
Suzuka, and I think we gave him... we kind of gave him a bit of commentator's curse, saying, oh, you know, with a lead like that, you should be absolutely fine. And then he had a bit of a spin. So yeah, he's dropped all the way back down to P42 now. So yeah, he's not going to be too happy with that. Another driver that I was just kind of keeping my eye on a little bit was Andrew Fellows in the flatline race in Mercedes. Andrew looks like he's made quite a good few positions up, and again, I think Andrew looks to go well at this track based on what we've heard and we've seen in the chat and the Discord. And then there's another battle going on behind here, and it's actually Francois Branda that's making his way up. So yeah, not the greatest of starts from Francois in qualifying, but it looks like he's going to go. Is he going to have a look around the outside? He just goes around the outside of Henry Cullen, so he gets that job done, and that puts him up into P29, and that puts him P7 in class at the moment.
Yeah, I also noticed as well, William Humphries could set the fastest lap of the race overall. He's gone purple, which means he's going to be challenging Justin Rayman in the not too distant future, but I don't think Justin's going to give that one up too easily. But you can see how big the gap is back to Ryan Otten, so these top 2 pulling away a bit. Someone who'll be very, well, may have been very, not necessarily happy, but pleased to see a little bit of unluckiness for Jean-Francois would have been Mike Murphy, of course, who's going to be gaining, who stands to gain, I should say, quite a lot from that kind of mistake from the Frenchman. And of course, coming into this round in that Premier class, Stephen Donnelly was P2, was Chaz Graycard. Oh, he's back to pit road. That's not looking good for Chaz, as he is going to have a very difficult night if he's not going to be able to finish this one. I was going to say that P2 man coming into this, Stephen Donnelly, trying to gain some points. He's currently in P5 in class and would be getting very, very close to Jean-Francois' lead at the moment. So it's keep an eye out for that as we work our way through this race. Also, because Stephen Donnelly will have a much better starting position for race 2 and 3 if it was to finish, as it were, right now. So lots to think about. And that's what makes race 1 so important on any evening, isn't it, James? Because with the format that we've got, if there's 3 rounds, race 1 is so critical because otherwise you're going to be starting 2 races from further back if you struggle in the opening round. But even if there's 2 races in a night, if you have a problem in race 1, you're going to be really struggling to get it back in race 2, aren't you?
You are, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Chaz must have had some damage there for him to go back to the pit. So, you know, we'll have to see when he comes back out. If he comes back out, if he can recover that. But I don't think he can. It's looking on my timing screen that he can't. One little battle that I am keeping a close eye on is the 2 teammates of Charlie Stothard and Dale Williams. So they are teammates. They're in the same Dennett Racing team, but we've got Charlie that seems to be giving a little bit of a flash of the lights there to Rob Smith that's in front of him. But Rob's in a different class, so I can't imagine for 1 minute that Rob, and he's running P3 himself in the Premier class, so I can't imagine for 1 minute that Rob's, as we've got a bit of a spinner back there, and it looks like Robin Noel Brown's had a bit of a spin as we just jump on board with him, as he's going to, rejoining into this pack is going to be extremely difficult. Lost a lot of time there, Robin, so he's dropped down to P40 as he rejoins safely at the back of Hussein.
Yeah, I mean, and these GT4 cars, it's worth noting, do not have the turning circle of a London taxi, do they? I mean, it's pretty tricky to get them turned around, and especially when you found an escape road. Yes, you've got a little bit more room to turn it around, but it's tricky when you've got a barrier stuck in front of you and the racing line directly behind. So, really unlucky there for Noel Brown. Just to emerge from P41 is probably a little bit lucky, but we've got what, 40? We had 45 drivers, so they can nearly all fit on the left-hand side there. We can see Chaz Gray got in 44th as James Peace has come into the pit lane. Now that won't be a scheduled stop. We hope that nothing too bad has happened to James, but it's giving another couple of points to the likes of Thomas Sabora and the likes of Jeremy Orlemans, who in that elite class aren't having the best of days, but they can still benefit if a couple of the drivers are going to finish below them. Same can be said for Jay Cooley, because those 3 drivers currently in 18th, 30th as Sabora gets through on Hayworth, and 33rd overall, are going to be losing quite a lot of time in terms of time to the rest of their field. But Cooley's only going to pick up a couple of less points than Sebastian Bonnet, so all's not lost for him.
We've got a lovely little battle going on here as we've got Jeremy Letus that was I think he was giving warning to Ryan that he was coming through or he was going to make a move. So yeah, that's dropped Ryan down into P4, and Ryan's got Luke Lucchese right behind him. And right behind Luke we've got Tristan de Nebrega as well, although not right behind him. There's a little bit of a gap there. So yeah, these 3 are developing a nice little battle here between themselves. Tristan's running pretty much out on his own at the moment. We've then got Ben Shalcraft running in P7. Ben had a good time out at Suzuka last week, so I would imagine that P7 he'll be quite pleased with that. And Ben's followed by Mike Murphy, who is the leader of the Premier class. So Mike's running in P8 overall, leading the Premier class. Got a nice little gap between himself and Ed May, who's running in 9th. So yeah, I can't imagine that Mike's going to put too much pressure on Ben. I don't know what you think. Is he just going to sit there and kind of try to bring it home? I mean, P8, that means he's going to start the race P2, and he's got a nice little gap behind him, behind Ed May as well. I mean, if he was sensible, what he might want to do is let Ed May past, which that would actually promote him 1 place further up on the start for race 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. The only consideration I think that Mike will also might be making is the fact that the P2 man in class, Martin Kenny, down in P13, would then start in P13. So whether he starts first or second or third, or even fourth if he gets past Ben Chalcraft, he's still going to have quite a decent advantage. Double that with the fact that we're going to have that top 15 reversed in race 3. If he can maybe... Because if he can get past Ben Chalcraft, yes, he'll start in P4 in race 2, but it means that he's more likely to slip down the order a little bit more in race 2, and it'll give him another good starting position for race 3. So there's the give and take. If this was just one reverse grid, I'd agree with you, but I think there's a little bit of strategy that you're going to have to think about all the way to race 3 at this point, which is why I think this format that we have is so good, and why I'm looking forward to the other 2 race evenings that we're going to have. Oh my word, as Ryan Ottens, that is not the correct line. for Ryan Ottens to be taking. He flew off of that turn, didn't he? That was incredible.
He did. I noticed that he'd overtaken the place back from Jeremy, and these three have been battling. And while these have been battling, if you just have a little look behind, you can see that you've got Tristan, who wants to join in the party. So, yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see how this. If they keep battling like that, Tristan's just going to get closer and closer, and then you got the two teammates. So yeah, we'll see how that goes as we have a little further look downfield. So we've got Danny Weir here leading an absolute train of cars as Danny also looks to go a little bit wide there. Oh my goodness me, just commentators' coincidence or commentators' curse. So yeah, Danny has an incident there with, I think that was that Pierre? I don't exactly know.
I think it was Jean-Francois.
Yeah, making his way back up. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate there for Danny. And Danny's got Noel Brown. Robin Noel Brown just coming right behind him. Robin looks like he's just... Gareth Newton has just... One of my teammates, Gareth Newton, has just passed Robin Noel Brown and then been passed by Robin Noel Brown. So yeah, that's gonna, and then he's got Hussein Sarakar Desler just behind him as well in the Suma GP2 Porsche. So yeah, this looks like this is going to get extremely tasty as we've got what looks to be, is that Dennis Collar that's gone, or is that Matt Stace that's just gone wide there? Gareth was telling me just before the race started tonight that he'd actually thought it was VIR tonight. So he'd got the tracks confused, so he'd been putting in a bit of practice at VIR only to find that we were at Road Atlanta. So yeah, he's had to acclimatise himself to this track fairly quickly. So obviously I told him I wouldn't tell anyone and wouldn't mention it, so there we go.
To be fair, I think of all the circuits he could have practiced, VIR isn't too dissimilar to this track. I mean, if he'd been practicing Road America, then I think he'd been in a little bit of trouble, because that's very different. But you know, VAR's not too dissimilar here, so he still might gain a little bit in terms of the practice, just maybe not in terms of knowing the actual circuit we're racing at, but still. Nice to know that people are practicing, James, rather than just rocking up and just thinking, yeah, I'll smash that. And yeah, great to see. I also saw that Justin Rame has set another purple lap time, so he's going faster again in reply to William Humphries. The two of them continue to pull away, but that battle in behind, Robin Noel Brown, you can see James Peace making a move on that Stace down at the back of the field. Oh, Gareth Newton may have gone around. He's dropping down the order. He may have gone around at the chicane. In fact, yeah, there you go. He's off the circuit at the turn 10 chicane and will not benefit from that at all. Danny Weir's coming to the pit lane. It's all going off towards the back here. And they will make their way through again. Also good to see these drivers really fighting hard over these places. I mean, overall, we're talking about P30. But for these guys, they're fighting over every single point. And at the start of the season, that's exactly what we want to see, isn't it?
It is. I guess what we don't see from our timing screen is the number of incident points. So if the off-tracks are quite aggressive on a certain track, then you know you've only got to have a couple of bumps at the start, and maybe some of these drivers have got a drive-through penalty. So where we've seen a couple of them jump into the pits, maybe that could be the reason. Maybe they've not got damage, they've just reached that 17 incident points limit. I think you'd need to be involved in a couple of incidents first before you actually got up to the 17. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on see if there's any more as we get later on. So Mike Murphy now has got a 13-second lead in the Premier class, so he's having an absolute storming race. He's still sat in between those two Spontex CDM Porsches. If I were Mike, I think I'd be letting the one Ed May through, because that would put me one position for the following race. So he's having a great run, and we've got Charlie Stothard, who's the new driver to the league, just joined today. He's still maintaining that lead in the Evo class. He's only got a 3/10 gap to his teammate Dale Williams. Charlie must have his lights mapped to his accelerator, because he seems to be now flashing Martin Kenyon. And again, Martin Kenyon's running P2 in Premier, so I can't imagine for 1 minute that Martin will be accommodating to wanting to let these guys through. And I suppose with his teammate behind him, you would think that they're going to be in chat, and you would hope that Dale probably wouldn't put on too much of an aggressive mood with it being his teammate.
Yeah, and I think if you are Charlie, I don't know why you think that Martin Kenyon would drop back a couple of places and put himself in a direct battle with Rob Smith. I mean, Kenyon's in a very good position with the fact that we're seeing Charlie Stothard and Dale Williams between himself and Rob Smith, looking great for him. And it gives him a better starting place for the next race, as we see Jay Cooley making a move to the inside at turn number 1 on Rob Smith and make that 3 drivers in the middle. Jay Cooley absolutely going to be getting himself, unless there's some kind of incident between him, on pace. Definitely will be in that top 15 by the end of race 2. I think with only 2 minutes 8 on the clock, he's going to be hard pressed to get there, to get into the top 10 by the end of this race, but still doing a good job P12 in class. With a few drivers between himself and Sebastian Bonnet. But this is the battle that's kind of been brewing all race long, isn't it? P3 in the elite class. Jeremy Militas, Luke Lucchesi, Tristan Denobriger and Ben those 4, and Ryan Ottens, I should say, as Ben Shalcroft still further back. They're all fighting it out. We're going to have another 2 laps, I think. Justin Rame is going to hit the line with about 1 minute 30 to go, if not slightly more. And yeah, you can see the lap time when they cross the line. 1:24, we've got 1:30 left. We're going to get 2 more laps here, which means that there's 2 more opportunities down at turn 10 for Litas to get a podium. And we saw him make an aggressive move earlier, and something tells me I wouldn't rule him out doing it again.
Yeah, these two have been the class of the field. Easy to say, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but these two really have. I mean, they were the same in Suzuka, and they brought exactly the same here to Road Atlanta. So yeah, I mean, looking at this, William Humphrey looks like he's going to have a go. This is the closest that we've seen him, 2/10. Is he going to have a look down the inside? No, he's not. He thinks better of it. So maybe at some point on the last lap, he's going to have a little look. Then we've got Ryan Ottens. He's managed to hold Jeremy Litas back with Luke Lucchesi. Tristan de Nebrega's just sat there. I think Tristan's probably just wondering if there's going to be a little bit of an incident here, and maybe he can kind of profit from any shenanigans that go on in front. With Luke in front of him, I can't imagine he's going to do a big send, but who knows. And then we've got Mike Murphy, who is the DXT fill-in in the CDM sandwich that you can see there, and he looks like he's got Edmay that's going to have a little bit of a go. I don't think Mike will fight that too tough. I think these two have raced against each other in some of the other series that Chaz runs as well. So yeah, it looks like Mike is going to... No, it doesn't. I was going to say he's going to yield, but absolutely not. So not at all. So Edmay, if you want that position, you are going to have to fight for it. As we jump back up to the leaders, so the leaders should be coming round. They should be, I think they should be on their last lap now. I think we should be on the white flag.
Yeah, time is ticked to 0, so this has to be the last lap. As a little bit of dust being kicked up by both Humphrey and one of the lap cars there as they run their way through. William Humphrey says I want to go fast in the back of his car, but he can't really use all of the pace that he might have if he can't get through on Justin Rame. He's not going to be able to use it at all, because the only time he can make this lead work for him is with only 2 corners to go. This exit's going to be absolutely crucial. He's stalled off the corner a touch, hasn't he? But he's not going to get the best of exit, and in fact Justin Rame's going to get the help of a little bit of slipstream. That McLaren's going to let them both through on the run down in towards turn number 10, and I don't think William Humphrey's going to be anywhere near close enough, because it would take an almighty send on the brakes to get it from there, but Justin Rame should control this one. Of course, Justin Rame was P4 in the championship coming into this race. William Humphrey won both of the races back at Suzuka, but they're going to rise over the hill, and for the first time this season, we're going to have a different winner in the elite class. Justin Rame, that's William Humphrey flashing the lights, maybe in celebration or congratulations, because it is Justin Rame who wins the race, the first race of the evening here at Road Atlanta. Ryan Ottens will complete the podium ahead of quite a hard-fought battle with Jeremy Litas, Luke Lucchesi and Tristan Denobriger, but what a race that was from Justin Rame to hold off William Humphrey to the end. Also what a race from Mike Murphy. 17.7 seconds is the lead to Martin Kenyon. That is huge.
Absolutely stunning drive from Mike, and probably did him well, really. Sat in the middle of those guys as they come through. As we track back to see who's going to be coming across the line next. So we've then got Jay Corley coming through. Jay Corley's going to finish P13. So Jay's had an absolute storming race. I would imagine that some of the viewers on Jay's stream will be quite pleased with that. We've got Martin Kenyon P15, Rob Smith P16, Stephen Donnelly P17, Lewis Nevere P18, Baz Shilstra in P19, and Rob Pickle rounding out the top 20. Looks like we've got most drivers over the line. Possibly so. Hussein's coming across in P29, Steve Rubinho in P30, Gareth Newton after that spin earlier recovers to P31. We've got Matthew Nowell coming through in P32. Looks like Matthew's carrying a bit of damage there, so he's obviously had an incident. Cracking livery on the car from Matthew there. And then we've got Rob Mackay, who has changed into the Mercedes for this evening, who comes across as the last finisher to make up that finished race in P33. So, how fast are we at a grid? Is the question.
Oh wow. Is this it? Are we immediately going in?
This
on
is
my
it.
word.
We're on. We're on. We got no results.
Oh
we're
my
on.
word,
We're
right.
on, Dora. We're on.
They're gridding already, James.
They are. They are. Go, go, go.
Oh my word. Right, so it's Jimmy Vyman, Ed May, Mike Murphy, Ben Shalcroft, top 4. Tristan Denobreger, Luke Lucchese, Jeremy Litas, Ryan Ottens, William Humphrey and Justin Rain, the top 10. Of course, they're reversed from race 1. Then we've got Jeremy Chioka, Sebastian Bonnet, Jay Cooley, top 13. Dale Williams, Martin Kenyon, Rob Smith, Stephen Donnelly, Lewis Nevea, Baz Shilstra and Rob Pickle, the top 20. The next 10 rows, Jonas Larson, Thomas Sabora and Oliver Lumsden, Francois Brandet, Henry Coulon, Robin Aston, John Ludbrook, Andrew Fellows, Hussein Saragadessler and Steve Rubino, top 30. Gareth Newton, Matthew Noel, Rob Mackay, Danny Weir, James Hayworth, James Peace, Ryan Rhodes, Matt Stace, Pierre Bouzreg and Robin Noel Brown, the top 40. 5 more drivers, Charlie Stottard, Jean-Francois Chiquet, Jeremy Orlemans, Chaz Draycott, Matt Hoyland. 45 drivers. We've got them done in time. I really was not expecting that to happen that quickly, and we're already getting towards the lights here. They're already coming on. The quickest turnaround to any race I've ever seen in my life, and we're racing again here at Road Atlanta. What a start in the background. Who was that?
Ryan
Ottens on the outside.
What a start.
Getting past, I think that was Jeremy Litas. Ben Shalcroft is getting a good launch as well. Jimmy Vyman and Ed May are finding into towards turn 1. I think Ed May's got the lead then around the outside at the opening turn. They're 2-3 wide towards the back as a lot of the drivers who struggled in the opening race look to gain positions off the start. Justin Rames had a little bit of an incident, dropping down a couple of spots as he fights with William Humphrey over P9 and P10. Here they are. They were fighting throughout race 1, but William Humphrey, the championship leader, retakes that position. Jeremy Litas and Mike Murphy fight with Murphy around the outside. That's not going to work. He's going to have to yield, and he'll lose out to more drivers as Litas goes wide as well. This is chaos off the start, James.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. We're going to have to let this race unfold before we can even catch a breath in terms of where we are. What I did notice, though, is that William Humphrey absolutely made best of that moment that Justin Rame had, and he is past him. So we will have to see how this race develops now to see whether Justin, does he just sit on the back of William and try to catch the others and work his way through, or does he try to regain that place straight away? We'll have to wait and see. As we look further downfield, we've got Francois, who's currently running in P21. As we go up the field a bit, this is just absolute chaos. It's just a long line of cars trying to work out who's there. And we've got an incident. We've got an incident with William Humphrey, and it looks like William Humphrey and Mike Murphy. So,
oh no.
Yeah,
William Humphrey
just waiting to do the safe rejoin as he does.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's a good rejoin.
Back to P37. We will try if we can and have a look at some of these incidents a little bit later on. So back to the front, we've got Ed May. Now I do seem to recall that last week we'd got a different Spontex CDM Porsche that was leading the race. So he's got Jimmy Vyman just behind him. So last week we had Chaz in race 2, and this week we've got Ed May in race 2, closely followed by Jimmy Vyman, and then we've got Ben Chalcroft in 3rd. So yeah, the Spontex CDM guys are really putting on a great show here, and Ryan Ottens has worked his way up into P4. He's got Tristan Denobreger just behind him. So I think Ryan would probably, given the pace that he had in the first race, I think Ryan would probably fancy his chances here of kind of just edging back closer to these top three and see if he can put a bit of a challenge on Ben Shelcroft.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be quite interesting, I think, this race, especially with William Humphrey dropping all the way to the back of the field, just to see how this all pans out. Of course, a few drivers stand to gain quite a bit with what we've just seen. Of course, coming into this round, in the elite class particularly, Justin Rame and Ryan Ottensma 4th and 5th, they look like they're going well today. Ben Shelcroft as well might gain a few places. Really, it's a bit of a melee towards the mid-pack in the elite class. It's going to be interesting to see who can come out on top. I was looking to try and add the points on after race 1. We just didn't get time, James. So we'll have to try and work that out by the end of the evening, or I will at least. But this is going to be quite an interesting one as we see them all dive down through the opening sector for the second time, or the third time I should say, in this race. Jeremy Orleman's getting through on James Peace. I think he's had some incidents towards the back of the elite field. Bass Schilstra getting past Rob Pickle, who I think is in a little bit of a pickle himself, as Bass is up to the top 3. Of course, you'll remember that Bass didn't set a lap time in qualifying. To be up in P3 in the Premier class after a race and a couple of laps is incredible work from him as they work their way through. And also shout out to John Ludbrook, who's currently leading the Evo class, comes into this race P5, or the round P5 in the championship, and looking to gain on Francois Brandet, and currently doing that at the moment.
Yeah, John will be really, really pleased with this. I mean, I race a little bit with John. We've raced with him a few seasons in GT3. John always kind of puts himself down and says he's not got the pace, but believe me, he's absolutely well capable of winning the Evo class. So yeah, he'll be quite pleased with that. But he's got Matthew Knoll right behind him for company. So and then they've got a 2.5 second gap back to Francois Brandet. So hopefully they'll be able to keep it going. I think John will be looking at that little gather of cars in front of him and thinking, if I could just tag on to the back of them, you know, I'll just be able to keep up and defend from these guys. Another driver that we've not really seen too much of, that I know has got really, really good pace running in the Premier class, is Robin Aston. So Robin, for the Suma GP2 team, he opted for the Mercedes because he felt that Mercedes was handling quite a bit better than any of the other cars that he tried. So I know that he's quite comfortable in the Mercedes, but I just wonder, with this track being so twisty and turny, whether or not he's just managed to find that groove, as Robin's got is it Mike Murphy that he's got behind him? No, it's Francois Brandet. So yeah, he's got Francois Brandet. In fact, why don't we jump on with Francois and see if it looks as stressful for Francois. Here we go, as we're on board with him. Stolen guitar's still there, not been taken by the police just yet. So is he going to make a move on Robin Aston, or is he just going to sit there?
It's going to be tricky. I mean, he might look for the inside. He is going to look for the inside. Tricky to do it on the brakes, of course. Downhill braking means you've got to brake a little bit earlier than he otherwise would. Let's see. Yeah, diving it on the brakes. Inside line. Is he going to make the corner? Yes, he will, just about. Will he cover off the second part on the exit of the chicane? Yes, he will. And Francois Brandet gains a position overall, of course, not in class, but he can now try and chase after Matthew Noel as they run their way through the final corner. A few drivers in pit lane, of course. They've not had the best of races. Nobody should be going into pit lane, or has to go into pit lane. No one has to be diving up the inside, but that's a move being attempted, I think, by Andrew Fellows. It is in that number 44 red Mercedes car. He's at the outside for turn 2. Andrew, who's also got his camera on, won't make it there deep though, as we ride on board with the 44, but can he find a way through into the S's? You're going to be hard pressed to, and you can see him losing a bit of that momentum and going to have to find a way past elsewhere around this lap.
Yeah, Robin Aston's not going to be too pleased with my commentary skills. Every time we go to a driver, it's one of them passing him on the driver cam. But yeah, that did look close. It looked like Robin had just got the slightly better exit there from Andrew. So yeah, we'll come back and we'll catch up with that a little bit later on. Other drivers, Jeremy Orlemans must have had a bit of an incident early on, because Jeremy Orlemans is running down in P29, elite class driver. So he's probably going to be looking to get the job done here on James Howarth, as he looks to go around the inside for this corner, which will bring him onto the outside for the next corner. Jeremy's certainly got the top 5 elite pace for sure, so yeah, it'll be a bit I would imagine running running P13, he'll be a bit disappointed with that. Another driver we've not mentioned in this race is our friend Chaz. So, oh my goodness me, Chaz will be loving this. He's right in the middle of a big pack of cars. He's got Ryan Otton's just in front of him, so Ryan must have had another incident a bit later on, because he got that flying start at the beginning. So yeah, as Chaz looks like, has he just had a... Did he have a slowdown?
Rear slide, yeah.
Did
he
have
a rear slide there?
Slide?
Yeah, he just had to catch it, otherwise he would have found himself spearing into that barrier, and that wouldn't have been nice. Going a little bit wide again, getting a little bit of airtime. That'll be a nice profile picture for Chaz if he can clip it at just the right moment. But not the most comfortable of experiences. To be fair, though, Ryan Otton's, if we can look at the overall standings again, you'll see where Ryan Otton's is, and it's not going to look very nice for the Canadian driver because he's a long way down the order. Overall, and that's what matters when it comes to the reverse top 15. Lucchese and Rame are fighting it over P5 and P6 at the moment as well in that class. Justin Rame losing to Chioka as well as they rise over the crest. Chioka managed to get maybe a bit of an up and under out of turn 10 and put himself into the top 6. So nice work there from Jeremy, and he's now chasing after Luke Lucchese for the top 5 once again. But you know, Tristan de Nobrega and Luke Lucchese not separated by much once again, and you know, I feel like every time I've commentated here at ESR, James, Tristan and Luke have been pretty much attached at the hip, and it continues tonight.
Well, look, we're forgetting about Ed May out the front. He's still holding off Jimmy Vyman, and still the gap remains constant to Ben Shalcraft in third, and Tristan de Nobrega is still 2 seconds off. So these 3 guys at the front are absolutely putting on a show here. They've made the most of that reverse grid from the first race, and they're kind of running away with it. I think Tristan might be a bit kind of disappointed that he's not managed to bridge that gap. So we've got half the race gone, so 9.5 minutes gone, with 10 minutes remaining. So yeah, Tristan's going to have to pull his finger out, so to speak, or hope for them guys to have a bit of an incident as Jimmy Vyman looks. He's looking around the outside. Is he going to... No, he's going to hang it back in and see if he can maybe save that for another day.
Yeah, and try and find a way through elsewhere, but it's going to be tricky. Oh, Ed May is offline a little bit coming to this final corner. They bounce their way over the little bumps, and he feels the need to hardly defend that inside line. Jimmy Vyman looked for it, but was never going to be able to get it. Can he get to the apex? So Ed May looked like he drifted a little bit wide, but got his car turned in enough, and will continue in the lead. We have passed half distance in this race. Would you believe half distance in our racing here this evening? It's flown by. 30 minutes worth of racing, 20 in the first race, 10 so far here. But if these two come to blows, Ben Chalcraft stands to gain a very good position, maybe even the lead, if these two start to fight it out a little bit too hard and maybe come together, because Jimmy Vyman and Ed May, they are pushing hard at the moment, aren't they?
They are, but Ed looks remarkably in control here. To say that he's got this much pressure from Jimmy right behind him, Ed looks like he's really measured, hitting his apexes, hitting all the marks, doesn't seem to be squirming around. So yeah, I mean, at the moment, if I had to be a betting man, I'd say that Ed May looks like he may have this. I say that obviously in the next corner we're going to see. Here we go. True to form, as Jimmy looks to go around the outside. Is he going to hold the outside line? No, he's not. Ed manages to just let the brake off a little bit, and Jimmy just slots back in behind him. But he's now got Ben Shalcraft coming up. So is Ben going to look to maybe go for a Spontex CDM Esports 1-2 in race 2? It looks like that gap's coming down a little bit. 1.8 to Tristan de Nobrega. Tristan's got his teammate Luke sat right behind him, and Justin Rame in 6th place. So the grid and go driver, Justin Rame, not managed to capitalise. We did have William Humphrey with that incident earlier that he managed to profit from. But other than that, he's just sat there in P6. As we look at the overall standings, and currently we have Rob Smith, who will be on pole for the 3rd race of the evening. So yeah, Rob Smith in the Premier class. So Rob is currently running P5 in Premier, but P15 overall. So, and he's got a nice little gap back to John Ludbrook as well. John Ludbrook's having an absolute storming race. Let's jump on board with John and check that if he's cleaned his windscreen recently, which it doesn't look like he has, John. Oh, that's going to be disappointing when he sees that back. At the Kamei GP2 McLaren headquarters, yeah, he'll get in trouble for that, not cleaning his windscreen in between races. But John's got quite a gap, just that little bit of a gap to Rob Pickle. So yeah, I think John's obviously clicked with this circuit in that McLaren. So good luck to him, and hopefully he keeps that up. What John's probably secretly hoping for is that there's at least one incident in front of him, because finishing in P16 at the end of this race is very different to finishing in P15, because I mean that's a hell of a jump up the grid and potentially to stay out of trouble, don't you think, for the final race?
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, we saw how chaotic it was down at turn 1 on that opening lap, with only the 10 reversed. I mean, if we have the top 15 reverse, then it's going to be so tricky, isn't it? Well, if you're in P16, if you're John Lubbock right now, the fact that you were so close to maybe having a clean run down at turn 1, especially being an Evo driver, and maybe having that many cars between yourself and anybody else, although having said that, Lucchese has had some kind of issue. He is dropping time hand over fist. You can see him dropping all the way down. I wonder what's happened there to Luke, but it's not good whatever it was. But if anything happens to someone like Luke, John Lubbock stands to gain a hell of a lot. If you start in P16, you're in the mid-pack, you are going to be at risk. If you start P15, you've got a great run at the lead, or just a little bit of safety down into turn 1. And really, I mean, as a driver, it's like you think of turn 1 at Monza. You don't want to be at the front at Monza, do you? Or you don't want to be in the mid-pack at Monza. You want to be at the back, don't you, just to try and get away. Or you want to be at the front to try and get away from it all off the line. You don't really want to be in the middle. And I think the same principle is fair here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Martin Kenyon here. So Martin's running P12 for DXT, for the DXT Cyan team. Ooh, just makes a slight bit of a error there, as that gives Baz the run as they come down into the next turn. Oh, and Baz is looking to go up the inside, and right behind them it looks like we've got Jonas Larsson as well. So these are fighting for position. Oh, there's a little bit of bit of contact there. Martin just looks to keep that position and keep it defended. As why do we always seem to catch that? So we've got Jonas Larsson just having a little bit of a spin. He'd be really disappointed with that. But beautiful looking livery on that flatline racing car. Yeah, very disappointing for him. As we jump back on board with Martin, Martin's now got quite a bit of clear space. So that incident causing Baz to have to slow down has caused that nice little gap for Martin. So pressure's off for Martin, and it looks like we've got John Ludbrook that is gone up to P15. We've got Ryan Ottens right behind John, so somebody must have had an incident to put John in P15, and he's got the elite class driver of Ryan Ottens behind him. Is John going to defend? He isn't, surprisingly. So John's going to be back to John's destiny is P16 in this race, unless something happens, of course.
Well, I mean, Ryan Ottens is in a good spot as well, isn't he? Because if I was Ryan Ottens right now, I would stay exactly where I am, because he's unlikely to gain a position in his class. But if he can stay where he is now and just sit in P15 to the end, he'll start on pole and can try and run away at the front, and then no one's going to be able to catch him. Oh, there's a spin in the background. That's Chaz Draycott. I think he went across the front of someone else. That must be Matthew Noel. But Chaz is into the wall. There's no ribbing on that car. Hold your brakes, Chaz. Oh, he's got to cross the road. But that is not what Chaz Draycott would have wanted to see. And after a great round at Suzuka, it's coming undone a little bit for him at the moment. We've still got one more race to see what he can do. 3.5 minutes left in this race. Ed May leads Jimmy Vyman, but this train has now grown to 6 cars, and it's anybody's race at the moment.
It is, and look who's in P4. So Justin Ray has obviously, there's been some kind of incident with Luke Lucchese who's dropped back, so we've got Justin looking to go down the inside of Ben Shelcroft. Ben Shelcroft's not going to be too pleased with that, because he's held that third place all the way through the race, so I don't imagine he's going to give this up lightly, but he might not have a choice as Justin holds it around the outside, which gives him the inside for the next corner. So job done. P3, Justin Rain. Is he got time? Has he got time to get on the back of Jimmy Vyman? And Jimmy looks like he's giving it a real go. Are we going to be in last lap territory? No, we're going to get a couple more laps as Jimmy looks on the inside at turn 1, and Ed holds it around the outside. Ooh, just cuts him off there. Oh, Ed's absolutely does not want to give this up. He's 2 minutes 30 away from his first win in the series. So yeah, he'll be fighting really hard, and he'll see all those other drivers behind him as well, Dara, in his rear view mirror. I mean, my goodness me, that must feel like some pressure when you've led for this long.
Oh yeah. I mean, I mean, there was a little bit of battling towards the start of the race between Ed May and Jimmy Vyman, but there's not been anything for the last 10 minutes, and I don't think he'd want anything to happen now. Just let me get to the end, frankly, and then we'll be able to talk about it. But I think it's going to be close whether we get 1 or 2 again. Of course, that lap. The lap time is about 1 minute 24. Ed May is going to run that very, very close indeed. Of course, this race slightly slower than the opening round when we saw the top 2 of William Humphrey run away with it alongside our race winner, who I am for some reason having Justin Rame, of course it was. That's what I'm talking about. Justin Rame, he's up in P3, that's why I was confused. But they're bouncing their way through the final couple of corners. What's the time going to be when they cross the line? When you see that lap time appear next to their name, that will be when they've hit the line. They've not done it yet. This will be the final lap, and you can see there the white flag's out here, James.
We've got a 6-car battle for the win. Dare I go as far as to say we've got a 6-car battle for the win with Ed May. He's held on from the very start, as Jimmy looks like he's just had a little bit of a nudge there. Justin's got caught up in that concertina effect. We've got Ben Chalcraft, who's now running in P4 after Justin's got past him. Tristan de Nebrega's not giving this up either. He's a hard charger, so is he going to put a move on Ben? I mean, is this going to be a case of pass or be passed? Who knows? Who knows? Less than a lap to go. I think Ed May's got this done. I think Ed May has got this done. I think Jimmy Vyman might be racing in his mirrors. And Justin Rame, as that also looks to be a very, very, very late break in there from Jimmy Vyman. As we've got Justin Rame, is he going to tee it up now along the straight to come up to the tight turn at the end of the straight? I'm not sure he's got this. Ed May looks like he's got enough with half a second gap and only half a lap to go. I think Ed's got this done. I think Justin's going to be going for P2 as we just have a look back now. As we see Justin, he's going for the outside of that corner. He's going for the inside of the next corner, which will then give him inside for the last corner. Oh my goodness me! And Ben Chalcroft's coming to have a go as well.
He's going to do it, Justin Rame. He's done it, Justin Rame, just about to the inside. The man who won race 1 is P2 in race 2. Ed May, in the end, cruising to the end of the race, and it means that he will finish in P1. He will start the next race in P15. They'll run their way through. Lucchese, Donnelly, Kenyon run their way through. Bass Shilstra has got P13. He started race number 1 in P41. He'll start race 3 third. An incredible ride from him. Rob Smith will start from pole. John Ludbrook in the end came 18th, but still won in that Evo class. And our 3 winners then from that race, Ed May, Stephen Donnelly, and John Ludbrook, as they will run their way through. It also means, I believe, that the top 4 that you see there in Premier are going to be very much separated from the rest, so they're going to have a great chance in race 3.
Yeah, what a finish. What a finish. And whilst John Ludbrook didn't get the P15 that he might have been hoping for, he's still got the win in the Evo class. So I know John will be absolutely delighted with that. He'll be almost as delighted with that as you are, Dara, when we now know that we've got a 5-minute break to run through some results. So we do. We could have a few minutes break. Yeah, that's been the most intense 40 minutes that I've had since this time last week, to be honest with you. Whew, so yeah, big shout out. Thank you to everybody that's joined us in the chat. See, we've got Ashley Brooks in there. We've got Glenn in there as well. We've got John Brighton back. Good evening to you all, gents. Really great to see you in the chat. Thanks for coming in and showing us some support. Whew, shall we do some results? Let's do some results.
Yeah, we should.
Well, we'll do.
What results have we got? That's the answer. Is this race?
We will do the results for the race we've just seen first. So
okay,
this is actually race 2, starting with the elite class.
And I'm also going to quickly ask, with points, because I'm just a little bit sure on this, how much of the race do you have to complete? Is it so? As in, will Chaz Draco get points for finishing 2 laps down in this race, or will he get none because he didn't finish?
Don't quote me on this, but I think it's 75% race distance completed.
Cool. Then I can work that out in my mind. But anyway, Ed May then wins the race. But look at the gaps. Nothing between himself, Justin Rame, Jimmy Vyman, Ben Chalcroft, and Tristan Denobriga, along with Jeremy Chioka, who are in the top 6. Jeremy Litas, Jay Couley, Sebastian Bonnet, and Lucchesi, the top 10 in the end, with Ryan Ottens down in P11. William Humphrey, championship leader after round 1, overall in the championship, is 12th with Jeremy Ullemans and James Peace, 13th and 14th. Chaz, a couple of laps down, with Thomas Saborin and Matt Hoyland not finishing. And they were down in 16th and 17th. Over in the Premier class, we have got Stephen Donnelly winning the race, and not by much either, ahead of Martin Kenny, less than half a second between them. Bas Schilstra, after his great recovery from race 1, finishes very well in race 2. And then we see Rob Smith, Mike Murphy, Rob Pickle, Pierre Bouzereg, Robin Aston, Jonas Larsen, and Matt Stace, the top 10. Ryan Rose and Henry Coulon were on the lead lap. A couple of problems for Sarah Cadesla and Jean-Francois Chiquet, with Rob McKee not quite seeing the line, I don't believe, 6 laps down. And then we get to the Evo class. John Ludbrook won out ahead of Francois Brandet and Andrew Fellows in the top 3. It was Matthew Knoll, James Hayworth, and Charlie Stothard, the top 6. Steve Rubino, Robin Noel Brown, Oliver Lumsden, and Lewis Nevea in the top 10. A few of these guys are lapped down. Gareth Newton, Danny Weir, 11th and 12th, and Dale Williams not having the best of days. He was 12 laps down and very likely not to have seen the checkered flag there. Whew. That was race number 2 that we had this evening, and quite a dramatic one of that, James.
It was. That was one of the best races I think that I've managed to watch and attempt at commentating on. But yeah, really, I mean, the start of these races are absolutely incredible in terms of, so many cars and not knowing where to cover, and you're just trying to see who's doing what, the losses and the gains. So yeah, really, really, really fantastic race, that race too. What we will do, Dara, is that we'll go back in time and we'll just look at the results for race 1, which will give us a record of this. So this is race 1, the first race results, because we've got another couple of minutes to go. So if you can just run us through these 3 classes, and then we should just be about ready to start the final race of the day.
We think there might be more, we don't know. They might jump one on us, who knows. No, Justin Rame, though, won that opening race, not by much again, though, to William Humphrey. Good tight battles in the elite class. Ryan Ottens, Jeremy Litas, 3rd and 4th, with Lucchesi and Obrega, the 2 RDSA guys, 5th and 6th. Ben Chalcroft, Ed May, Jimmy Vyman and Jeremy Chioka, the top 10, with Sebastian Bonnet, Jay Couley and Thomas Saborin in the top 13. James Peter lap down before the drivers who really did struggle, Jeremy Ullemans, Chaz Draycott and Matt Hoyland, top 17. We'll move on to the Premier class, and in the end, Mike Murphy. Look at that gap from Mike Murphy. A full 18 seconds he won that race by, and he'd be hard-pressed to say that he didn't deserve it. Incredible result from him. Martin Kenyon was 2nd, not far ahead of Rob Smith and Stephen Donnelly. Bas Schilstra and Rob Pickle 5th and 6th ahead of Jonas Larsen, Henry Coulon, Robin Aston, and Hussein Sarakadesra in the top 10. Rob McKee a long way back, but on the lead lap, and a lap down. Ryan Rhodes, Matt Stace, and Pierre Bouzereg, with Jean-Francois Chiquet. He's not having a good day, down in P16. Finally, though, we've got the Evo class. Dale Williams won out ahead of Lewis Nevea. Oliver Lumsden, Francois Brandet, and John Ludbrook were in the top 5, with Andrew Fellows, Steve Rubino, Gareth Newton, Matthew Noel, and Danny Weir the top 10, with Weir a lap down. That's with James Hayworth and with Robin Noel Brown and Charlie Stothard. So they were the 13 drivers in race 1. Charlie Stothard must have had an incident towards the end of that race in race 1, because I remember him being up near the front, but fortunate for him regardless. But they were the results from our 2 races, and that means that when we get to talk to our guys later on, James, I can try and work out the point standings.
I know, I've realised that's what you were doing last week when I saw all those things popping in
the
Discord. I was thinking, well, what's he doing?
Put them on my sheet now.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we're about to go racing again. So I believe we've got a grid for race 3.
Oh, do we? Oh, God, here we go. Oh, I'll have a sip of water after this. Right, Rob Smith will lead us away. He's in the Premier class, so we'll see how he can do. Ryan Ottens is in a good position starting P2 with Bas Schilstra, P3 ahead of Kenyon and Stephen Donnelly, the top 5. Lucchesi, Bonnet, Couley, Jeremy Litas and Jeremy Chioka, the 2 Jeremys on row 5. It's Denobrega and Chalcroft, Jimmy Vyman, Justin Raymond, Ed May, the other drivers who were part of that reverse grid, with William Humphrey just missing out. Mike Murphy, John Ludbrook, Rob Pickle and Francois Brandet are on rows 9 and 10. Rows 11 through 20, when we roll all the way through, will be... we'll wait to see who they are as they roll through, but drivers who are looking to gain a bit. Here they are: Andrew Fellows, Jeremy Ullemans, Matthew Nolan, Pierre Bouzreg, Bourez, I should say, James Hayworth, Robin Aston, James Stothard, Jonas Larson, Matt Stacey, Steve Rubino, top 30, Brian Rhodes, James Peace, Henry Coolan, Hussein Sarek, Dessler, Robin L. Brown, Oliver Lumsden, Jean-Francois Chique, Lewis Nevea, Gareth Newton and Chaz Draycott in the top 40. And then we've just got Danny Ware, Rob Mackay, Dale Williams, Thomas Sapurin, and Matt Hoyland. 45 drivers, 20 more minutes to go. That was good timing, because we're going racing here at Road Atlanta for the final time in the evening. What a start from Ryan Ottens. He's done it again. He's going to have the lead down in towards turn 1. Bash Ilstra, he was 41st at the start on race 1. Can he get a P2 by the time we get through the opening turn? I think he'll try and sweep it around the outside, and he will grab the lead in Premier Class and P2 overall. Ottens, great start from him though off the line. Ed May, race 2 winner, tumbling down the field, as is Noel Rhodes. There's a lot of battling down at the back. There's a lot of drivers off the road. Some drivers gaining quite a bit. Chaz Draycott side 40th, up to P28 after 3 corners. So clearly some drivers having instance, and Thomas Saborin already in pit lane, along with Matthew Noel and Brian Rhodes.
Wow, what a start. Another chaotic start. I mean, it's no surprise that Ryan Ottens has got the jump on everybody. He's already got a 1 second lead from Baz Shilstra. So the question there is, can Ryan Ottens actually keep that up? Rob Smith, the Premier Class driver, sitting in P3. He's got Martin Kenyon right behind him. So we've got Rob Smith, Martin Kenyon and Stephen Donnelly, the 3 running P2, 3 and 4 in the Premier Class. So out of the top 5, 4 drivers are in the Premier Class. So second place in the elite class is Luke Lucchese, who's running down in P6, and right behind Luke we've got Jeremy Chioka in the new livery for this week, with Sebastian Bonnet right behind him, and Jay Corley in P9, Jeremy Litas rounding out the top 10. Justin Rames made his way up to P12, so Justin, we'll have to keep a little eye on Justin to see how he does. I did see one of the CDM esports cars, I think it was Ed May, that went tumbling down the field. Ed May's down in P35, so after the win in race 2, how the chances can change for Ed May running. He is all the way down in P34, so yeah, he's not going to be too impressed with that. We've got Ben Chalcroft, running in P13. There's so many of these Spontex CDM liveried cars, it's difficult to work out who's who. We've got Mike Murphy also running in P15, that's just sat behind these two, as Tristan de Brega looks to make a move on the inside of Ben Chalcroft, does get the job done around the inside, so that's going to bring him up to P13.
And very good work there from him as they'll run their way back towards turn 10 for the second time in this race. Charlie Stothard gaining a position on Francois Brandet. That's P2 in class now, or P3 I should say in class now for him, behind Ludbrook and Andrew Fellows, who is trying to hold up William Humphrey, but we've seen how quick William Humphrey's been so far this season. He's going to be hard pressed to do that. De Brake gaining places, Lucchese gaining places, Bonnet gaining places as well, down at turn 10, but nothing happening between Fellows and Humphrey. Ludbrook looking like he's going to be trying to defend, and Robin Aston looks dangerous. Orlemans and Mike Murphy, Draycott last, and they're all battling. Stephen Donnelly's had an issue. What's happened to Stephen Donnelly? Well, there he is on the race, on the start-finish line. He's facing the wrong way. He's going to tumble down the order. He's out of contention completely. He gives Charlie Stothard 1 position. Can he make it up? No, I think he's lost out to Chaz Draycott. And Chaz Draycott, in the space of 2 laps, has gone from P40 to P22.
Yeah, great effort from Chaz there. It looks like he's just gained another place as well. So yeah, up into P22. He's got John Ludbrook just in front of him. Let's have a look at the group tables. So we've got Andrew Fellows that's leading the Evo class. So Andrew had a season in TCRs last season. In fact, let's jump on board with Andrew, not to give him the commentator's coincidence, as there's an incident on the right hand side that looks like Sebastian Bonnet that's had a bit of a slip. So yeah, Andrew's leading in P1. He's got a 3.4 second gap to Francois Brandet, so Andrew will be absolutely loving this. Is he going to get that elusive first ESR win that he wanted so many times in the TCRs last season? I don't know. We'll keep on board with him and have a look. We've also got Charlie Stothard, Charlie's running very, very, very close behind John Ludbrook. So those two are really, really close. It looks like Charlie's had a bit of an incident there. Has Charlie had an incident? Yeah, it looks like he's been passed by Jonas Larsson, and then he's got the 108 car of Hussein. Ooh, as they go very, very bit of door banging there on that corner. And we've got a car on the inside. Is that Justin Rame? It is Justin Rame. We've got Justin Rame, the winner of the first race, who's had an incident and been off track, got what looks to be significant amount of damage. Yeah, very, very disappointing for Justin. So that kind of puts William back in with an opportunity for kind of highest points finisher of the evening, having had that poor race 2. Now looks like there is the opportunity for William to make some of that up maybe in race 3.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, I've just added up those 2 points to the elite standings, and after those opening couple of races, William Humphrey and Justin Rame both have 158 points. So you'd say that whoever finishes in front out of those 2 in this race will be coming out of this one as the leader in the championship, and with Justin Rame being absolutely nowhere to see in that elite class, clearly having issues off the line, it looks like William Humphrey is going to be the championship leader after round 2, as he was after round 1. Also, good evening, of course, for Jimmy Vyman with the P3 in the last race, and Ryan Ottens, who got the P3 in the opening race. Ben Chalcraft currently P3 in the championship and trying to push on as well, but Ryan Ottens looks like he's in position to be in P3 as we leave Road Atlanta. But we've still got 40 minutes to go, and we've seen how crazy it can be in these races. Martin Kenyon looking like he's going to get back on Rob Smith and Bas Schilstra. Nicely, the top 3 in Premier class running pretty much nose to tail. And this could get interesting because Bas is looking for big points, but so is Rob Smith, so is Martin Kenyon. And you can see back there, Jean-Francois Chiquet, purple lap. He has had a torrid evening after his double win in Suzuka. He's looking to get anything back that he can.
Yeah, I was just trying to work out for a moment there why I was missing a car, but it's actually Luke Lucchese that's running P2. So Luke Lucchese's running P2 in the elite class, but he's actually in the middle of this Premier battle. So we've got Bas Schilstra and Rob Smith, the 2 in front of him, and then we've got Martin Kenyon behind him, as Luke looks like he's going to be making a move now. That's going to tee him up for the inside to the chicane. Is Luke going to get the job done as he goes down the inside? So that's a position gain for Luke overall into P3, but that's not going to affect him with Ryan Ottens having a 4.7 second lead over Bas Schilstra out front. So Ryan's got his head down. He's just going for it, hitting his marks. Yeah, he'll have no stress at all to bring this home with a 5 second lead. I can't imagine that even in 12 minutes, unless Ryan has an incident, that anything could go wrong there.
Well, say that. You never know in this championship. I mean, we've had 5 races, and they've already thrown up so many crazy results and crazy moments that really, if you turn up, you're in it to win it, really. I mean, this could be a championship for the ages, if we're being honest with ourselves. So cannot wait to see how this progresses throughout the rest of the season. But as we go, this is looking pretty good for the time being for our current race leader, Ryan Ottens, at least. But for Bas Schilstra as well, this is looking great. Lucchese's going to try and put pace to that, though. You can see that time, nothing. They're side by side up towards turn 10. 2 and 3 overall. Lucchese's going to have the inside line. In fact, he's going to have the outside line. Will Bas give way, or will he fight this one? He's going to give way. And he's now going to be in a fight with Rob Smith. Rob Smith diving up the inside at turn 10. Not going to make that work. And actually, with that little dive bomb, it's going to come under pressure from Martin Kenyon. It's the duality of trying to go for a move. You can look for it, but all of a sudden, if you don't make it, you're under pressure yourself.
This seems like it's race 2 all over again, but with a whole new set of 6 cars. So yeah, and then we've also got Jimmy Vyman that's going to close. I think he's going to close this gap up to these guys as well. So I think by the end of this race, we're going to have a 6-car battle. Let's have a look downfield. So we've got Andrew Fellows in the Evo class. So let's just focus a little bit on the Evo class. So we've got Andrew Fellows that's currently leading the Evo class, but he's in P14 overall, and he's got a really nice 5.6 second gap to Francois Brandet. And then we've got Francois Brandet all the way back here in P3 in class, but he's back in P19 in the middle of this, what could only be described as a train with a little bit of a gap in it, as Francois is giving the flash of the lights. So I don't know who's flashing there, because he's got nobody in front of him unless he's listening to the commentary, and he's just deciding to give us a bit of attention. And then the other driver that we've not mentioned tonight is Rob Mackay. So where is Rob Mackay? Rob Mackay is currently with his new livery at the back. Seems like a perfect time to jump on board with Rob and have a look what Rob can see. So Rob's coming up on the back of Gareth Newton. Good friends, these two guys, raced together in both GT3 and the GT4 series. They say they're good friends, but both series admins, I think there's quite a bit of rivalry, as Rob thinks about on the inside, as we can see Dale looking for a move in front. Oh, Rob wipes the windscreen for us there. Nice one, Rob. Thank you very much for that, giving us a better view. But yeah, it just doesn't look like he can get on terms with Gareth at the moment. We shall have to see. He's running P9 in Premier at the moment. So yeah, Gareth's not even in Rob's class, but I'm forgetting about that. I'm thinking that we're in GT3 format. We're not. We're in GT4 format. So Rob is in the Premier class and Gareth is in the Evo class. Although I know Gareth, he won't want to give this up, especially to Rob. So yeah, you might end up seeing just as tight battle here with these two guys. And Gareth's going to be looking to try and as Rob goes all the way over the gravel. I'll let the DXT lads sort the repair invoice out for that one. Okay, let's have a look.
I hope it's not too much though, isn't it? We've seen some crashes that I think would need quite a big repair invoice, haven't we?
Danny, apparently Danny Weir, I don't know if you're aware, but Danny Weir is the owner of DXT. So I think Danny drives a bit of a hard bargain with all the guys, making them pay their damage for simulator work. So it's a bit harsh, but I mean, he's the boss, so it's what he says goes, I suppose.
Can't argue with him, can you?
Speaking
of
which,
I'm constantly in fear of you if I do something wrong.
I'm sure wait till Joe's back next week. If you are watching, Joe, I hope you're having a nice working holiday. And I saw some photographs of Joe on the grid or on the F1 track at Singapore. So fly back safely, and we look forward to having you back next week. In the meantime, Andrew Fellows has managed to drag that gap out to 6 seconds. With John Ludbrook now has Francois Brandet for company, 7 tenths, so fairly comfortable. But then I can't imagine many people are going to be comfortable with a Francois Brandet closing the gap down. As we look back at the lead, Ryan Otten's maintained that lead, 5.7 seconds. We've then got Luke Lucchese, who's running out on his own, and then we've got Baz Schilstra and Rob Smith. And it looks like Martin Kenyon is battling as we jump back to the overall standings. So Martin Kenyon is in the middle of 2 elite drivers, so I wouldn't imagine Martin's going to fight this too much, but Martin's having a great run here, P3 in class, so he'll be really pleased with that. One driver that we are missing tonight is Ryan Stitchbury, which unfortunately couldn't race due to other commitments, so we look forward to seeing you back and getting amongst it next week, Ryan. Also his teammate Owen Seward hasn't joined us this evening either, so big shout out to you guys, and we look forward to seeing you back on track with us next week. Where do we go next?
Hard to tell, isn't it? It's funny because there's so many cars on the circuit, but it almost feels like there's then too much choice, doesn't it? In that regard. But I mean, there's so many little storylines throughout this, isn't there? Chaz Draycott, in this particular race, P40 starting position, P15 overall. We've also got Baz Schilstra, qualified P41, of course, currently winning in the class. Jay Coulter, who's been on a recovery drive all the way from the get-go in his green and yellow machine, and I have to say, I do love that livery from Jay Coulter, so a little bit of a bonus there for him. But he's looking to try and get after Ben Shalcroft, who himself is having a very good evening tonight. Andrew Fellows, Francois Brandet. I think another storyline that's kind of gone under the radar because we've not really been able to talk about him because of where he's been is Jean-Francois Chiquet. I mean, he was so good last week, but 2 DNFs to start today. He is trying to pick up as many points as he can. to try and, you know, get anything back on where he was. Of course, came into this round P1 in the championship with quite a hefty lead. At the moment, he's only P6 in the championship, behind the likes of Rob Pickle, Mike Murphy, Martin Kenyon, and he's not going to be gaining many points on them at the moment as they're ahead of him. So, not looking good at the moment for GK, but that's why we've got 10 rounds. We've got a drop round, James, isn't it? So that you can try and drop some points where you've not done your best work.
We do indeed, yeah. And I think after this bad day at the office for Jean-Francois, this is possibly going to be a candidate for his drop round. I guess it depends if people have got real life commitments and work commitments, etc., and they need to do an absolute zero drop round. You know, then the points that Jean-Francois has scored tonight may actually count for something. But yeah, I fully agree. Not the best evening for him. Just looking at Danny Weir in P. Danny Weir looks like he's at the back of this battle. Danny also did agree to jump on to the driver cam with us, so we'll just stay on board for a minute or two with Danny. It looks like we've got most of them. It looks like there's an incident ahead, and that looks like, is that Rob Mackay that's just gone spinning across the track? Danny's got Steve Rubinho and Gareth Newton and Matthew Noel in front. Is it Matthew Noel? It's not Matthew Noel, no, it's Sebastian Bonnet, it's Steve Rubinho, Gareth Newton, as Danny looks like he's been spun. That's not going to go down too well, and we've caught it on stream. Right, quick, back to the main camera.
Yeah, he won't be pleased about that.
He won't. No. It's commentators' curse, isn't it? Like, we seem to always just drop the camera on someone, and then there's an incident. So quick, let's go away somewhere else. Let's start. Oh, this looks like a bit of a tidy little battle here between William Humphrey and Martin Kenyon for P7 and P8. I don't think Martin will fight this too much, because it's not. He's not going to have a choice when he takes that line, that's for sure. As William Humphrey, team leader at Dennett Racing, looks to go around the outside. Job done. William Humphrey up to P7, and if we look in class, that's going to bring in P5. One driver that has had a much better evening this evening is Tristan de Nebrega. Tristan running currently in P4, so I think Tristan didn't have the best time out. I think we even commented on it last time at Suzuka, so didn't have the best of evenings. But yeah, this is much better from Tristan, much more like the pace that we know he's used to, so he'll be pleased with that. Another driver that I think's made a great recovery is Jeremy Orlemans. So again, Jeremy, I think he got caught up in that incident in race 2, I think at the start. Made a good recovery, currently running P8, so I imagine that he'll be a bit more pleased with this than he was previously, as we've got only 2 minutes to go. So, and we've got, considering how many cars we've got on circuit, we don't have that many close battles like we had in the previous race for position in class. I think a lot of the battles that we're seeing, if we look in the group tables, a lot of the gaps that we're seeing are maybe Steve Rubinho and Gareth Newton, but all the other gaps are mainly in the overall standings for inter-class battles.
Yeah, there isn't really a consistent group, is there, of certain cars? Maybe between John Ludbrook and Charlie Stottard, 16th through 18th in the Evo class, and they're 2, 3, 4 overall. The 2, 3, 4 in class, 16 through 18 overall. But yeah, a lot of the battles up front are inter-class. Tristan de Nobrega, I should say, looking for Rob Smith's position at the moment to try and get after Jimmy Vyman. Looking at the points as well, it's going to be very tight for P2 in that elite class. Coming into this race, Chalcraft, Vyman and Ottens as de Nobrega gets through. Vyman, Ottens and de Nobrega, 8 points splitting them, and I believe they're going to get even closer throughout the rest of this race. So it's going to be really intriguing, I think, to look at the points after this race, see where it sits. And see how we run, really, towards round 2. Another thing I was going to mention about drop rounds, really briefly, is the fact that we are going to have 3 of these evenings. We've got 3 20-minute races, aren't we?
We are.
And in those evenings, we're going to get 150 points. In some of the other evenings, we're only going to be having 100 points on offer, and like we had at Suzuka. So at Suzuka, Magny-Cours, Portimao, and Zolder, there's only 100 points up for grabs. So there are going to be rounds where drivers are more likely to pick up less points anyway, even if they're finishing in the same places. So to have a bad day on a 150 point night, it's going to cost you even more. It feels.
Yeah, could be bad. Could be bad. Well, we'll have to ask Jean-Francois and see how he feels when it comes to the end of the season. But I think we might be on the last lap here with Ryan Ottens maintaining a 4.7 second lead of his fellow South African Luke Lucchese. So I'm guessing that Ryan has already had the white flag, so this should be Ryan coming across the line. It looks like Baz Schilstra's just defended his position against Jimmy Vyman, and no, this is the last lap, so we are now on the last lap. So Luke Lucchese, Baz Schilstra, has Baz Schilstra just had a little bit of a problem? No, I don't think so. He's just held that position. So yeah, got to give a big shout out to Baz Schilstra. Terrible week last week for him. Had a few incidents and got caught up in a bit of a disagreement and all sorts of things downfield. And yeah, he's come back absolutely fantastic with this finish in P3. Another shout out has to go to Rob Smith. So Rob Smith in P7. Fantastic run out for Rob. Raced against Rob quite a few times in the TCRs last season. Really good driver, really quick driver. Yeah, he'll be really pleased with the P7 for the Flatline Racing team. Ben Shellcroft, good night for Ben, P8. Other names to mention: Andrew Fellows still leading. We might have to cut back at some point to capture Andrew crossing the line. I think he might have won one actually in TCRs last season, and I think Joe Glass was kind of winding him up about how long it had taken him to get a win under his belt in the TCRs. But yeah, I'm sure we'll probably catch up with Andrew in a little while as the checkered flag's out and Ryan Otten looks like he's going to come across and take the win. Great race from Ryan.
Yeah, dominant really, wasn't it? Didn't really look back after turn 1 where he took the lead, and he will win the race ahead of Luke Lucchese and Jimmy Vyman. So great night for Ryan Ottens, apart from maybe race 2 where he dropped a few points, but it gave him that chance at winning race 3, which he took with both hands. Win for Baz Schilstra in the Premier class, and congratulations to him for that. Chaz Draycott's about to cross the line, but not too far ahead of Andrew Fellows, who will win in that Evo class, and he'll finish ahead of Charlie Stottard and John Ludbrook, who finished 2nd and 3rd, and Charlie, who's given those lights a little bit of work today, giving them a little bit more in celebration as he does finish P2 in the end. Adele Williams got 4th, Francois Brandet, championship leader, 5th in Evo. But great races all round, and great nights for some of these guys. I think some other drivers won't be too pleased with how their night's gone. I think William Humphrey will be one of them after dropping some points in race 2 and only really recovering to I say only recovering, but recovering to P5 in race 3 will be dropping a few points. Justin Rain, though, apart from race 3, great night for him, but again, having a poor race towards the end. It's been a bit of an up and down day. No one's really consistently done too well overall.
Well, I wonder if that's something to do with the 3 races, the 3 20-minute races versus the 2 30-minute races. So this is the first time that we've ran that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to get the drivers' feedback afterwards. But I mean, certainly from up here in doing the commentary, absolutely great nights racing. Just couldn't keep up with it all, which is probably no surprise. But the good thing for me is that Joe's back next week, so it can be his problem to manage.
And I have to say, it's better when you can't keep up rather than you're looking for things to talk about. So
No,
it's good that we had a
absolutely.
plethora of battles to really get our teeth into. But yeah, Joe will. I can guarantee you, next week when we get to the Hungaroring, Joe's going to have absolutely nothing to talk about. That's just how it goes, isn't it?
I don't think I don't having worked with Joe before. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Joe can always find something to talk about. Okay, let's see if we can get some results then, Dara, for that. Have we got everybody across the line? It doesn't look like we have. We do now. So we'll go to Elite first for race 3 of round 2.
Yeah, here we go then. Final race results for the evening. Few drivers not finishing, but the driver who finished first was Ryan Ottens, who wins out ahead of Luke Lucchese. It's a South African 1 and 2 after Lucchese recovered well from his tricky start to the evening. P3 was Jimmy Vyman ahead of Tristan Denobreger and William Humphrey, who will be the championship leader leaving Road Atlanta. Ben Shalcraft, Jay Cooley, and Jeremy Orleman 6th, 7th, and 8th ahead of Chaz Draycott and Jeremy Chioka 9th and 10th. Bonnet, Peace, and Rain in the top 13, with Ed May also finishing the race after he won race 1. Sadly, Litas, Saborin, and Hoyland. Hoyland, 3 DNFs tonight. He's not had a good day, but he will come back stronger, I am sure, in the Hungaro ring. In the Premier class, the second of the two classes, it was Bas Schilstra who, overall, over the evening, what a recovery. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but great stuff from the Dutchman to win out ahead of Rob Smith and Mike Murphy on the podium. It's Martin Kenyon and it was Rob Pickle who rounded out the top 5 in the Premier class, with Jonas Larsson and Hussein Saraka Dessler in 6th and 7th. Stephen Donnelly and Jean-Francois Chiquet picking up a few more points for his chances in P9 before Matt Stace, Pierre Bouzreg, Ryan Rhodes, Robin Aston, and Rob McKee, I think, all will pick up points. Rob McKee maybe not inside that 75%, but on the edge. Henry Coolan, though, not finishing the race, 7 laps down the end for him. And then we move on to the final class, the Evo class. And in the end, it was Andrew Fellows who won out ahead of Charlie Stothard and John Ludbrook. John Ludbrook, who had a great night, it's fair to say, ahead of Dale Williams and Francois Brandet, the man who, of course, stole the guitar before he turned up this evening. We've got Gareth Newton, Danny Weir, Lewis Nevea, Robin Noel Brown, and Steve Rubino in the top 10. Matthew Knoll a lap down, James Hayworth a couple of laps down, and Oliver Lumsden 4 laps down by the end of the race. But what an evening that was overall. James. It was such good racing up and down the field, and it was just great to see so many guys getting involved.
Hasn't that gone so quick? I can't believe that we've done 3 20-minute races and it just feels like 10 minutes ago. So yeah, whew, what a night's racing. What a night's racing. So I guess that we're going to be thinking about doing a few driver interviews, as there's probably a few guys that have joined in. So if you want to sort that out, Dara, and in the meantime I will set up the replay and get something reasonable on screen. So if you want to let me know who you're inviting in, and we'll see what some of the guys have got to say for themselves.
Right. Well, firstly, then we're gonna chat to Ed May from the elite class, that is, and Ed joins us now. Ed, welcome in. Winning race 2. I mean, that must have felt great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was not what I was expecting coming into tonight, but honestly, I had to work for it. Or I'm having to try not to swear because I'm not used to this. But honestly, this has been brilliant. Loved it tonight.
Well, I mean, talk us through it, because you were really under pressure all race long. Of course, you benefited out from that reverse grid. How tricky was it to keep the others behind? Because it looked like you were really fighting hard each lap into turn 10 particularly.
I wasn't expecting to get ahead of Wyman, if I'm honest with you. I was thinking on the front row, he's going to disappear. But as soon as I got the getaway, I thought I'm going to have to go for this because it's the only chance I'll have of getting in the lead and trying to keep him behind. Because a pure sort of one-to-one pace, he's got me beat every day of the week. But as soon as I got that, I knew, right, got to look in, focus. And thankfully, the only place where I seemed to be quicker than him was coming onto that long back straight. Everywhere else, he had me. But that one sort of corner coming onto that back straight, so important, because if you get that nailed, there's nothing anyone can do behind you. And thankfully, that just seemed to be all that I could muster up.
Yeah, and on that final lap, it also looked like, I think there was a little bit of contact in behind you, which really helped you out. I mean, in the end, it was a bit of a cruise to the line, but I'm sure it didn't feel like that. I mean, how much confidence does this give you going into the next few rounds?
None, if I'm honest with you. I'm going to take this bolt from the blue and dash, because I know that I'm probably not on pace going to be able to keep these drivers behind, especially these top guys in the Premier class. It's just, the elite class. Sorry, it's just not what I'm used to doing. I've only got like 2K ranking, so I'm at the lower end, and to get a race victory, that's the season just already chalked up as a success for me. I've been loving it tonight, and credit to him. Hopefully I didn't do anything untoward. I like to think that I was robust but not over the line with Wyman. I'd never want to do anything of the sort, but honestly, it has been such a great race, that second race with him.
Yeah, and I mean, congratulations overall. I'm going to pass it over to James in just a second, but I will tell you that you only picked up, what was it, 3 points in the opening round
Yeah.
at Suzuka, but now you're up into the top 10 in the standings. So congratulations.
If I can stay there come the end of it, I'll be happy. I'm going to imagine I'll drop back because these guys in this class are very, very quick. If I can get maybe like a top 15 overalls, a few top 10 sprinkled in, I was going to be chuffed with it. So this has exceeded my expectations and then some with a race win.
But congratulations. I'll pass it over to James because I'm sure you've got a few words, James. But I mean, what a win for Ed.
I mean, you've said it. You've said it all for us, Dara. I mean, all I can say is that there seems to be an uncanny resemblance to Ed's response to his win to Chaz Draycott's P3 last week, and I think these Spontex CDM esports guys are definitely professional at playing their on-track abilities down. So yeah, that was absolutely stunning, Ed. I mean, you've done commentary for us on the GT3 series last season, and it was absolutely brilliant. I just hope that you enjoy that race back because me and Dara were getting pretty excitable about the thought of you 6 cars all going for the win in the last race. So yeah, congratulations, mate. That was absolutely brilliant to watch.
Yeah, there were some moments where I thought he had me, if I'm honest with you. I think there was a couple of times where he was alongside me into turn 1. I thought, I'm cooked here. He's going to have me. But somehow, I don't know how, but I managed to keep him ahead. But honestly, it's been a great night. And I initially thought I was going to be able to bring out all the racing driver excuses. I was off and away out partying like a madman the weekend because I turned 26 yesterday. So today, not a bad late birthday present.
Oh, brilliant, mate, brilliant. Well, look, thanks ever so much for joining us for the interview. And before we let you go, in true sort of Chaz Draycott style, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, of course, thanking the broadcasters. The work you two do is absolutely top notch. I love watching the races back. Didn't watch too much of Suzuka because it was one that I'd rather forget. But tonight, I'm definitely going to be watching everything back. The highlights, the lowlights from that last race. Honestly, it's been great. And of course, thank you to the aforementioned Chaz. He's been so kind to me as a commentator for helping me get all the work that he likes to provide for me, but also just for allowing me into his team and putting up with all of my nonsense. And of course, just everybody that gets in behind the scenes in Evolution Sim Racing to put this on. It's been great.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, have a nice evening, Ed, and we'll probably talk to you in a few weeks' time when you get another win and pretend that you're not quick enough for the second time.
I'll be in if I get a podium or top 10 because that's going to be like a win for me, mate. Don't you worry.
Okay, brilliant. Well, have a nice evening and thanks ever so much for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
It's me then. Our winner from race 2 in the elite class. I keep wanting to say Premier. I know he said it. It's so easy to do. But winning in the elite class then. Who else have we got from the elite class in that waiting room? I believe nobody. So that means we'll move on to drivers in the Premier class, and the driver that I'm looking at that we're going to drag in is Bas Schliestra, and Bas joins us now. Sorry for cutting off mid-sentence, Bas. If I have
no worries, no worries.
Congratulations. I mean, you didn't set a lap time qualifying. Started race 1 P41. Started race 3 third. I mean, what kind of such an up and down evening for you?
Yeah, I mean, at the last second, I thought, I'm going to try qualifying. I got an off track on the first one. I messed up my second one. I was like, okay, just stick to the original plan and not qualify. Last week was, well, quite a bit of a disaster. It was 2 DNFs, just not that good of a racing. And I thought, you know what, we'll just start from the back and see what happens. We'll just go in with low expectations. But at the start of race 3, I was like, why am I in P3? What happened here? So yeah, it was a great race.
And I mean, you must be really pleased about how many points you put on the board tonight. I mean, a P5, a P3, and a P1. After only picking up 13 points in the opening round, you've taken 123 tonight. I mean, that is, I believe that's more than anybody else. So, I mean, full credit, or maybe Martin, maybe just got a couple more than you. But I mean, what drive overall. Does this give you that kind of boost you want back again for the Hungaroring? Maybe to get into the championship picture?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just I mean, I always loved Road Atlanta. It doesn't matter which car to drive there. You can really toss the cars through the S's, and that's just always fun to do, and especially in the GT4s. Uh, I mean, again, I went in with low expectations, try to see what I can salvage back from last week. But yeah, this more than made up for it, and kind of uh, feels like I had a decent finish last week and a decent finish this week. So I mean, this is just great for the championship, and yeah, looking forward to the Hungaroring.
And that's good to hear. And I will tell you for free, when I've adjusted this, that going into round number 3 in the championship, after only picking up 13 points in round 1, you will sit in P6 with 136 points. So you've done a really, really good job. I'll pass you over to James, because I don't know, have you got anything to ask, James?
Yeah, congratulations, Baz. Great night's racing. Just wanted to ask you really about the car handling in the BMW, and what made you choose the BMW over all the other cars.
Well, to be honest, I already owned the Aston Martin, so I was like, either I do it in the Aston Martin, but I saw the new BMW. I was like, you know what, just might as well give it a shot. When I started trying out the BMW, it was really loose, really slippery coming off or like, coming onto the throttle. So I was like, I don't know if I made a good decision with this. I tried practicing at Indianapolis in the preseason. I was like, I made a huge mistake with this car. And then Suzuka came around. I was like, yeah, this is, feeling a little bit better. I had, good hopes for Suzuka. Well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but yeah, I started at Road Atlanta, and it just felt really good. I kind of started loving the BMW more and its loose behavior, kind of sliding throughout the turns. You can really throw the car around, and especially towards the chicane at Road Atlanta, you could brake really, really late, and it just, I don't know, it kind of clicks. It's now a good car to drive. Started loving it, and yeah, this is just can't wait for Hungaroring and see how we do there.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Well, look, thank you for joining us in the comms booth for the interview. Really appreciate that. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, of course, the Vortex Racing, my new team. It's a great pair of guys I have there. They were supporting me all throughout the race, giving me good support, spotting here and there. And yeah, I mean, they're tuning in from, I don't know where they are, but yeah, it was just great to have them by my side.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, have a great evening, and best of luck for next week, and we'll see you back on track.
Thanks a lot, and see you guys next week.
Right, well, thank you, Bas, for joining us. Well, I nearly dragged myself into the channel just as he left. Right, then, we have got a few drivers. We are going to very quickly talk to Danny Weir, who was in the waiting interview. We'll give him an interview. We won't want to leave him out to dry. Danny, welcome in. Decent night for you overall. I mean, a couple of decent results. How are you feeling after that one?
Mixed emotions on that one. Had a couple of incidents. Did have a crash with Gareth Newton, which I'm really sorry for, but we spoke about it in the chat. And then some that probably weren't my fault, but the stewards will have their say on him. But yeah, overall, it's hard to do this track, and I'm learning obviously with triples at the moment. So it's a lot of news.
Yeah, and I mean, this track isn't the easiest that we're going to go to over the season, so that is absolutely fair to point out. I mean, I think the best result you got in the evening was a P7 in that final race. It's still not too bad, and you weren't, a mile away off of the lead. Difficult in the opening stage as well. How were the race starts from towards the back of the field in the Premier? In the Evo class, because it was really chaotic, wasn't it?
I was like being king of the hill. I was right up top and nice little view. But yeah, I think it kind of helped actually, because a lot of the crashes already had taken place or was in motion. So by the time we got round the first and second corners, like everything's dying down. But you still have to keep your wits about you and make sure you're hitting the brakes, which I know I'm a bit of a criminal for, but I've learned my lessons after like receiving penalties or like getting myself taken out. But yeah, it's just taking your time and just trying to feed your way through very carefully. But yeah, it's a very difficult track because it's very close to the wall. So if you come off and like 5-10 cars down the road, you see smoke. So you just got to hit the brakes and trust that you've got to be careful going through it. Some drivers adhere to it, some don't. But it's all a learning curve for some new drivers. But it's a lot of learning for everyone. But it's always fun to try and pick your way through and just be careful.
Yeah, and you've got to be in it to pick up some points, and that's exactly what he did. 58 points tonight, so still not a bad haul. James, I know that, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to be trying to race these guys next week. Have you got something to ask Danny to try and get a tip on what you could do?
Well, I've not got anything to ask him. I might have a little apology to make about the commentator's curse that we did catch.
Oh no, was it your fault?
Yeah. So yeah, not only that, you'll be pleased to know you are the first driver that we've caught having an incident on driver cam. So yeah, you're gonna enjoy that watching that back, and then I'm sure the DMs are gonna be flying to say, Bostock, that's your fault. But no,
Oh.
I was I had only one question for you. You've already part answered it, which is how was it racing on triples versus your normal VR? What differences did you feel?
It's so weird. So, I mean, I'm glad in some ways without the VR because I don't get a thing called a slideshow, which is brilliant. No, I don't get no issues. My FPS actually jumped at one point to 200 and something. I was like, oh, this is new. Normally it's 70. But so in that side of it, I know it's more consistent and it's more reliable. You do see a lot less, but I think it's just getting used to. And I need to still sit properly because I'm still sitting in my my FGT seat in the F1 position, so I'm quite low down. So I need to lift that up a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think maybe that was probably the incident. That was probably the cause of the incident with Gareth Newton. I'm just not used to seeing where my car is at the moment. Because I thought the front was clearer than it was, and maybe it wasn't. But other than that, you can see a lot more, and it's a lot more comfortable to just be sitting in for a long period of time. Like right now, if I was on VR, my head would be sweating. I'd have like big ring marks around my face. And yeah, I wouldn't be having the best of times. But right now, I'm very comfortable. Got the fan on, I can see, which is nice. Like, I can grab my drink when I want to, have a little sneaky vape as I'm driving. But yeah, no, it was really good, and it's just a learning curve. I think hopefully by the end of the season, I'll be back to where I normally was, scraping a podium. Hopefully.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Well, look, before we let you go, because we've got a couple of other people to interview, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, yeah, obviously all the DXT boys are the big support as always. And but yeah, that's basically. I can't really dedicate this race victory or finish to anyone because it was so poor. But yeah, all to the DXT boys. As I said, they're great encouragement, and they're all good bunch of lads.
All right, mate. Lovely. Well, have a nice evening, and we look forward to seeing you on track probably on Thursday. So we'll catch you then.
Yeah, thank you for including me in the webcam as well.
Oh, you're very welcome, mate. You're very welcome. Wait till you sit back. You won't be thanking me then.
Yeah, I'll hold that for.
All right, mate. Take care. See you later.
Later, guys.
Oh, nice to hear then from Danny Weir, and that means that we have got a couple more guys to interview, and we will start with Andrew Fellows. Andrew Fellows, who of course won that third and final race in that Evo class. Andrew, congratulations, 2 podiums on the night. You went from 6th to 3rd to 1st in the races. You must be buzzing.
Yeah, it was really good. Hopefully you guys can hear me on in the car on the way to work.
Yes, you can. All right.
So yeah. No, it was good. First race battling with Francois was good until we touched in the last corner, and that then knocked me down a few places. But I recovered quite well in the second race. Got the fastest lap as well, I think, in class of a 25-3. And then yeah, that last race it was all on the start. To be fair, I had an average start, but that I picked the right places, and with the carnage on the outside, I was on the inside. So I managed to swing through into the lead and didn't look back then after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hold you for too long if you're driving to work, but I have to ask, how are you looking forward to Hungary next week? You picked up 130 points tonight, which was, I think, more than everybody except for John Ludbrook in your class, so that's a really, really good display. Are you looking forward to the Hungary? Is it a track you enjoy?
Not particularly from the old F1 games, but I've not tried it on iRacing yet. So to be fair, Suzuka I never really liked because of the way you have to be on and off the throttle. But I've learned a lot over the last 12 months on iRacing, so hopefully I shall be able to do the same as what I did at Suzuka and get some pace. I'll have to do a bit of practice because I've not even bought the track yet.
Yeah, that'll have to be done at some point. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how you can do. Very quickly, I'll say to James. James, you got anything to ask?
No, nothing to ask. Just congratulations, Andrew. Is that your first win in ESR, or is that the second win?
That's my second one. So I think it was Hockenheim. I managed to get the win in the third race again. I think it was the third race. I managed to get the win.
Brilliant,
And then
brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant.
so it's obviously took me to round 2 this time, which is even quicker.
So who knows what we've got to look out for the rest of the season? Well, no, absolutely delighted for you, mate. We tried to catch as much of it as we could on stream, so you'll probably enjoy watching that back when you finish your shift tomorrow. So before we let you go and continue driving safely, hopefully you are on hands free. Is there anybody that you want
Indeed.
to give a shout out to before we let you go?
You guys again as usual for all the broadcasting that you do. It's very much appreciated, and I shall be watching that back. Francois, he's been really, really quick today. He's massively picked his pace up from TCR. And of course, everyone at Flatline and everyone in ESR is general. Not a bad bunch, really. Everyone's really friendly, helping each other. So, no, massive shout out to everyone, really.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. Well, unfortunately, you've got Joe Glass back next week, so no doubt you'll be again the star of the show. But in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll catch you on track with us next week.
Nice one, appreciate that. And he'll be gutted to miss my win, so hopefully I can do another one in the season for him.
Cheers, Andrew. Take care, mate.
Thanks, mate. Bye bye.
Andrew there, our race winner in the final race of the day, and we hope he has a good shift and that he can. Well, this race will have definitely woken him up. Hopefully, that'll keep him awake all through the night. We'll quickly bring in the man who will leave. The man who will leave Road America P2 in the championship, and the man who picked up the most amount of points in the Evo class tonight. That is John Ludbrook. Welcome in, John. You got what is that? A 5th place, a win in race 2, another podium in race 3. What an evening for you!
Oh, tell me about it. I was not expecting it. I think I got lucky, to be honest. It was race 1. I had a nasty sort of incident with, I think it was James and Danny Weir, where we were 3 wide going down the straight. Didn't end well, but luckily enough, I came off reasonably well on it. And then got a decent position on for the race start in race 2.
You really benefited from that, didn't you? I mean, winning the race, you're doing a really good job as well to try and close that gap down to Francois. That gap will be at 32, so you've gained a good, 11 points after the opening round. I mean, this gives you a bit of a good run towards the Hungaro ring. Are you looking forward to that track? Is it one you enjoy, or have you not done too much of it before?
I've not done too much of it, no. But again, this track is the first I got on about half an hour before this track, and I've never raced this track either, so. I give it a good go when we go to the Hungaro ring.
Yeah, it clearly worked out quite well for you if you've not done too much practice, but yet got the win. So well done on that one. I'm going to pass it over to James because I'm sure James has got a question for you, James. I mean, we saw him winning race 2. That was incredible.
Good evening, John. I've got one question for you. Did you know when you were in P16 that you were only 1 place away from pole?
No, I didn't know.
Did you not? Okay,
No.
because on stream, me and Dara were absolutely certain that you were hoping that there'd be one person that you'd get past, because that P15 would have put you on pole for race 3. And,
Wow, I did not realise that.
Yeah, and I for one would have found that extremely entertaining. The thought of you on pole for the final race. But
I think the nerves would have got to me at that point. I probably would have made a massive error.
I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. Great night's racing. What were the starts like in the McLaren? Obviously, I'm trying to get a few tips for next week.
Well, I mean, I'm more than happy to share the tips with you off stream, but do you know what? It's such a simple. I don't know why it's so good, but I just seem to be getting a good start on it. It's much better than sort of the BMWs that I see around me. I just seem to be going past them.
Right, well, we'll save that for offline then, John. We'll save that for offline. Before we let you go, mate, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to on the stream?
I mean, you guys, and then obviously you, James, is my first season in the GP2 team. So, yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Obviously, big shout out to Francois as well. He's definitely kept me on my toes. We had a bit of a coming together on the last race, which is a bit of a shame. But, no, really good.
Brilliant, mate. All right, well, have a nice evening and congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Great to get the thoughts of John Ludbrook there. Again, best driver of the night in the Evo class, and that leaves us with the final driver to talk to, and I'm sure you know exactly who it is, James. It's Francois Brandet. Francois, welcome in once again. You didn't quite keep up the win and the second you got in Suzuka, but you still came away with a second, a fourth, and a fifth, and you still have that championship lead. You must be feeling great.
Yeah, I'm feeling very good considering I qualified 10th as always. I'd like to stop that pattern of having very bad quali then good finishes. It's a bit annoying at the minute, but yeah, considering the pace I didn't have, I'm pretty happy tonight. I won't lie.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I said, you're going to keep that championship lead by quite a bit. And how was the pace out there tonight? Because it seemed that there were lots of battles that were around you. There were some elite drivers that had to come through the field. Was there any kind of managing the traffic that you had to do in that race, or was it really kind of flat out from the word go?
It was never really flat out. It was very nerve-wracking the start of all three races because obviously you don't want to get involved into nasty shenanigans with people from other classes, but at the same time you don't want to just park it until you're only within Evo drivers range. I tried as much as I could to let all the faster guy pass in a way that would not like be too bothering for me. I did lose some time, but I'd rather lose time than being a nuisance on track and risk an accident. But once the first 3 or 4 laps were done, I think once you settled in, you get into a nice battle. I've had very high highs and very low lows tonight as well, but I'm great. I've had a very nice night of racing.
And how much are you looking forward to going to the Hungaro ring as championship leader? Track you enjoy, or not one you've done much of?
It's a track I hate with a passion that I can't define.
Well, that's always a positive thought, isn't it? Going into next week. I'm going to pass you over to James because I know exactly what James is going to bring up here, and if he doesn't, I will have to bring it up at the end, James.
So, very good evening, Francois.
Hey, James.
We have don't sound so nervous, but you may wish to sound nervous because we've only got one question for you, and Dara made us aware of a stolen guitar in your region before tonight started, and during the race we did catch on driver cam there was potentially said stolen guitar at the back of your room. So what we want to know is that the stolen guitar or is that your own?
Yes, it is stolen, but I don't need to tell you, and I don't want to.
Don't say
but,
anymore.
I just want to point out that I was watching the stream the first time you said that, and literally that cracked me up, and I just had to stop because I was really having a laugh.
I did see that on your driver cam actually, that you started laughing, and I didn't want to say at the time, but I thought, I wonder if he's listening to us.
I'm always listening to the stream when it's starting. Obviously, I mute it or just close the window when quali starts because I want to get into like my own little zone. But I'm always watching. You guys are, especially you, James, pretty silly on the remarks you can make on my living room. So I'm always a big fan of it.
Well, there's going to be even more next week because we've got the fantastic Joe Glass back in the booth. So. No, look, seriously, thank you for joining us on the driver cam for the last couple of weeks. And if there's any of the drivers watching the stream that want to get involved, and please feel free to send Joe a message and we'll get you teed up for next week. Francois, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, as you are our last interview and me and Dara want to go and have some rest and a drink?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to John Ludbrook and Andrew Fellows tonight because they were part of my highs tonight. I had very enjoyable battles with them too, and it's great to see them both getting their first win in GT4, especially Andrew, who's like always second whatever he races. So I'm just genuinely happy about their results, and I hope the standards can just be that high for the whole season.
Brilliant, mate. Well, thank you very much for joining us once again. Thank you again for doing the camera for us. A great laugh. And next week we'll have the press room feedback from Joe and Dara, which I'm sure will be equally as entertaining. So in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you on track on Thursday for the GT3s.
Yeah, you two lads. Have a great night.
There it is then. That was Francois Brandet, our final interview of the night. James, I guess I'll pass it over to you so you can wrap up the stream for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, what a fantastic night's racing. Really, really stressful but enjoyable at the same time. So, yeah, anybody that's watching the stream and wants to get involved with racing with Evolution Sim Racing, please join our league Discord. Cracking community, over 400 members and still growing. Everybody's very friendly, everybody's very helpful. We are currently running a waiting list for the GT4, which is Mondays, and GT3, which is Thursdays. However, we do have a Sunday social league, which is used as a bit of a practice race, which is a GT3 or GT4 multiclass. So if you scan the QR code on screen, or follow the link below in the description of the YouTube live stream, join into the ESR Discord and you'll be made very welcome. And I'm sure that it would be great to see more drivers out on track with us. So just to finish off, next week's race at the Hungaroring, so everybody will be absolutely delighted to know that we've got the amazing Joe Glass back in the commentary booth. So yeah, it's been great for the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I'll be glad to see Joe back and doing what he does best. Also teaming up with you, Dara. I think that's going to be a fantastic show, so everybody should tune in and see it. 14th of October, next Monday. It's the first round where we are running the 15-minute sprint race, followed by the 45-minute race, where in the 45-minute race there will be one mandatory fuel stop required. So it's a little bit more like the GT3 series in terms of pit stops, but it's going to be something a little bit different for the championship. The 15-minute race will be standard points, and the 45-minute race will be the double the standard points. So again, another 150 points on offer. There will be no reverse grid between the first race and the second. So the finishing positions for the 15-minute race will dictate the starting positions for the 45-minute race. So I don't know about you, Dara, but I think that's going to throw up some really good racing, and it might be a little bit easier to follow than the frantic 3 20-minute races.
Yeah, and it also might mean that qualifying is even more important. So the drivers who maybe don't qualify too well are going to have to do a lot more in the race because they don't have any reverse grid to help them. And I think Bas Filstra, who of course benefited from that, isn't going to have that kind of help. And with only 15 minutes in that opening race, it's going to be quite frantic. I think that 15 minutes, it's going to be a melee.
It is indeed. Well, hopefully, all things being equal, I'll be on track next week and be able to give you a bit of an insight if I can. I don't think I'll be doing a great deal of performance against these guys, maybe running mid to backpack of Premier and probably getting in the way of the Evo drivers, but nevertheless, we'll do our best. So I think that's it. We'll wrap up the stream. Massive shout out to the series sponsors. So thank you to Kame for providing the trophies. Thank you to GP2 Group. Thank you to Keenan Eco and Medius. Your support is absolutely appreciated, more than you could imagine. Without you guys sponsoring the series, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So a massive shout out and thank you to you guys. I think that's all that left to be said is thanks for watching, and we will be back on track next week, 8 o'clock, Joe Glass in the booth with Dara Thacker. So tune in for that one. It should be some very, very, very exciting racing. Have a good evening.